of, Facts, you do dual stream, don't you? Or is it just TikTok for right now? I was curious about that. Like everybody in the mom is dual streaming. I'm not sure if you were one of those people. Any cases, okay, when his Pinocchio trait where his ears grow every time he lies. I believe it. I believe it. Anti cases, let's get some folks started here. Bam, here he is. There's our co-host. Don't tell me we have a guest already. Don't tell me you have a guest already. What's up, TubeSide? Do all the good things on the way and make sure you like the stream. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. What's going on, Fex?
I am good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yes, I stream from TikTok to YouTube and Twitch.
I don't think I'm subscribed to you. I'm gonna go and look at that. I'll get you subscribed on there.
What? I'm out of here.
I had no idea. I had no idea. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you, Linda, for knocking out the goals. I'm not sure who this guy is. Aiden, are you there?
Hello.
Hello. Did you vote?
No, I'm not able to vote just yet.
Got you. Do you happen to just yet?
Yeah, like I need to wait to get citizenship to vote.
Oh, do you reside in the States?
Yes, I do.
Got you. Give me a second, bud. Welcome
right.
in, everyone. Welcome into the live. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. And I've asked Fax to join me in this endeavor, which he so graciously obliged. Today, we're going to attempt to talk to a different demographic, vastly different from what you're used to seeing me do. Everyone tunes into the lives. They want to hear me debunk and cook and all these things. Those on the opposing side of the Republican Party, the MAGA Party, whatever you call them nowadays, are all the same to me. However, we're going to be talking to non-voters because the fact of the matter is when you look at the people who voted for Madam Vice President Kamala Harris and the people who voted for Trump, none of them come up to the numbers of people who just sat out the 2024 election. That number grew actually substantially from the 2020 election to about 90 million people. There are 90 million people who do not understand the importance of what that vote does. They don't understand that the vote counts. And we're going to see if we can get some conversations going with those people today because they feel left out. And I know I can be a little bit cold in my approach when I talk to non-voters because the truth of the matter is you guys know me. Everything matters. It all matters. It's extremely important. But to a lot of people who may not directly feel the impact, that's an easy way for them to negate its role in our system, or better yet, they just don't know. They just don't know. They look around, they see their streets still screwed up. They see criminals getting away with things. They don't see their benefits being maintained and substantiated properly. So it's very easy to look at the system around you and go, well, is it really working for me? And instead of acknowledging maybe some of the ways that they can play a role in ensuring that it does. So we're going to see if we can talk to some of those people today. And once again, I'm joined here by Fax Matter. I'm going to give him a moment to say his piece. Welcome in, buddy.
It's an honor. Thank you for reaching out. And I'm glad I reminded you yesterday to do the promo for your own show.
He really did. He really did. I went up on his live to promo him, and he was like, hey, Hector, we're doing this thing tomorrow.
I'm glad we're talking about this because I've mentioned before that there's gettable voters out there. I kind of look at two distinct divisions of non-voters. The two wings of the same bird crowd, which is why I liked your prompt so much. Those people, I think, are just apathetic and almost lazy when it comes to not participating. Like they'll find an excuse. And then there's the other group of people that are generally feel like the government doesn't work for them. They feel like they're lost politically. They feel like they don't have a voice. They really feel like no one's looking out for them. But a lot of them care about the same things that we care about. They want affordable health care. They want affordable housing. They want their kids to have a better opportunity. Those kinds of things. Those are gettable voters. I really think so.
6,000%. And that is the goal today. So there's a lot of you who may be watching, because I'm sure there's one or two in the chat already, and you may be thinking to yourself, just another live with another Democratic shill or Republican shill or whatever you think I am, trying to get me to vote for a corrupt system. And I have a message for you. One, I'm not a Democrat. While I don't run from that word, they're the only party who are working on our behalf, the average American person's behalf. I don't identify with the party because they do have some failures very much. So But I advocate for a better party. I advocate for progression. So I would identify as a progressive, and I believe Fax is the same way as well. So we're not
Indeed.
coming to you from this position of votes for, I don't know, more donors or whatnot. We're coming to you for a position of voting impacts you. It's not about putting more money in a politician's pocket. It's about making sure the system works better for you. And that's the goal today. So we do have a guest up, but really quickly before I get into that, if you are a non-voter, you may have some questions, you may have some criticisms. We're here to receive all of it today. If you're over here on the TikTok side, you may request up in the box. You are the demographic of people that I want to have a conversation with. If you're over on the Tube side, let me make sure everything's going there. Yes. If you're over on the Tube side, you may call in the number on the screen, and that's going to be 737-295-5321. But we do have a guest up here, Aiden. I appreciate your patience. You mentioned that you're not able to vote, correct?
Oh yes, I'm not able to vote just yet.
And you reside in the States?
Yes, I do.
Do you have an intention to vote once you get all that
Oh
situated?
yeah, because I think voting is really important.
Oh, where are you coming from? Are you here in the States, and where are you coming from?
Yes, right now I'm in the States. I'm in Oregon.
Okay. Where do you come here from?
From Mexico.
Okay. Where are you leaning in terms of your vote?
So here's the thing, right? I'm like, every time I think I have an idea of where I land in the political landscape or the spectrum or whatever, I have a discussion or a debate with somebody, and then they make me like re-question everything. So I'm like trying to figure out, but lately what has been causing me like confusion or like uncertainty of where I land on the political spectrum is communism, because I keep talking to communists and they make it seem as if the left and the right are both the problem.
God bless you.
And
Thank you, Shauna, for the Christmas tree hat.
as if they're the same thing. They call it a blue MAGA and red MAGA.
I'll tell you what. Before I get to talking about that, I think where any conversation should start on where you're going to vote, it should start with you, right? It should start with where your values are, what you care about. So before we get into the different sectors of the left and who believes what, and blue MAGA, red MAGA, and all that good stuff, I'd be more interested to know and give me three things that you care about specifically.
Okay.
And what you would say is kind of fueling your decision to lean in either side.
Well, I care about affordability for like everyone. I care about like everyone having a home, and I care about everyone having access to free healthcare. So those are like my main things that I care about when it comes to politics, because it's some of the biggest issues that we currently have. Um, yeah, that will be it. And I like human dignity and respect for everyone.
Okay. So I'm going to take on home ownership. I'll start with that. In fact, obviously, you can jump in whenever you need to on any topic, but I wanted to take on home ownership specifically because of
Okay.
how it impacts my community as a black person. We know based off of history that generational wealth often came through the form of home ownership, and many black people and other demographics were robbed from that. And so that was a huge thing for me last year when it came to voting for Kamala Harris. So one of the things I liked specifically was that we have homes, right? We do have
God
homes
bless
in the
you.
market. It's just more so. Thank you for the gifts. Appreciate you, Sam. We can't afford them. They cost far too much. And bringing down the cost of homes is simply a supply and demand issue, or at least one of those areas is supply and demand. So if we have more homes on the market to match the population and demographic of people that are trying to buy homes, that would bring down the cost. Whereas if there's less, they have a justification for jacking it up. So what I really liked about the Democrat platform, the one that Kamala Harris ran off of, was her intentions to not only offer home buying assistance up to $25,000, but deregulation to some extent. She intended to, in some parts, open up federal land, get a bit more contracts going so that we can build more affordable homes. These homes were going to be equipped with green energy that helps you save on energy costs, And she was planning to do that in 3 years in her first term. Do I actually think it was going to happen in the first term? No. But I do think she would have started that. And 3 million new homes in the market actively would have brought the cost down on top of the assistance you could have been given. And there's a lot of people who criticize the assistance part. I think it's ridiculous to complain about your tax dollars going back into your pocket to help you. That's just my personal stance on that. But that is one of the reasons why I voted left, or I voted Democrat last year. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
No, yeah, no, it makes tons of sense. And you actually brought up something that I did not know. I did saw some of her policies and the things that she was running on, but I did not hear or saw what you mentioned about the houses.
Yes. Then you mentioned affordability. What was the second thing that you said? Which that kind of goes into what we were talking about. You mentioned affordability,
Healthcare, human dignity.
healthcare, and human dignity. I'm gonna try not to get messy on those topics, but facts. I want to give you a moment if you wanted to say anything.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. From how you described it, and Hector's right. I often look at these things, and I'm glad he asked the question the way that he did. It's like, what are the things that you stand for? Like, what are the things that matter to you? There are all kinds of surveys and questionnaires that you can take that will help you align with what your political ideology is. Like, according to the spectrum, I'm like a progressive libertarian. That's kind of where I sit. And a lot of people on the left that are progressive kind of fall into the same bucket. We people on the left care about the same things that you mentioned there, Aiden: healthcare, affordability, human dignity. So there's a pretty clear divide ideologically in our country right now. I mean, nothing's perfect. We have to stop looking for perfect candidates. But if your values are really centered around affordability, like housing for one, and healthcare for one, and then the preservation of rights and uplifting marginalized communities in particular, then welcome to being a liberal.
Um, no, yeah, that I'm so sorry. I got a little distracted because David is here and I have his face as a profile picture, and I didn't realize he was gonna be here. Um,
David,
yeah, yeah, there,
I have no idea who that is.
yeah, they're in the comments. They also do lives doing political stuff. But Yeah, no, no. I do believe that I am left leaning. I always say that, but it's just like I keep questioning myself because again, I keep talking to these communist people and they keep saying that like I shouldn't support like the left or the right because they're like the same thing. And like and I even asked them like, so do you think like if Kamala Harris were won instead of Donald Trump, we will be seeing like the ICE crisis that we're having right now, where ICE is literally like doing whatever they want without any repercussions, and they were saying like
Well,
that
what do you
it
think
will
about
be
that? Well, what do you
well
think about that?
if I
You think if
use
Kamala Harris had won, we would be seeing that?
no, but like that's my personal feeling, right? Like because I just like I watched tons of the debates that she had while she was running. Like I watched her campaign. I was keeping track. I was really hoping that she would win. Um, that's why I feel like but it's because the reason that I'm like not saying like oh like with 100% certainty like that wouldn't be the case is because I feel like it makes me look biased because I like I was rooting for her.
Hmm.
So you should not feel you should not feel shame for having a bias towards candidates that run off of a platform that ultimately benefits more people, right? That
Hmm.
takes into consideration the wide range of Americans here in the country. That's nothing to feel ashamed about. I am very biased towards a lot of my positions. My positions on more people than ever getting health care. I believe you touched on basically universal health care, essentially. I'm pro that because it means that everyone who goes into the emergency room, whether a minor or a major situation, will get the care that they need. It makes no sense to me whatsoever why certain people can't go to the doctor to, in some cases, save their lives or get life-saving medicine because of how expensive it is. I think that's ridiculous that we live in the richest country in the world, or one of the richest countries in the world, definitely up there, and we can't do that. I think that's a good bias. Absolutely. I think the danger comes with bias is when we almost turn off the opposing side in terms of their good ideas. I'm not going to insert my personal opinions if whether I feel right now the other side has any good ideas. But I will say, in response to many communists I've seen on this app and in general speak on the notion that Kamala Harris would have been doing the exact same thing or things would have been better, I'm just going to say for anyone to say that they have not been, well, one, you don't know Kamala Harris, and you don't know the Democratic Party. You may know aspects of it, you may know its failures, but to say something like that, despite their vastly different agendas that they ran off of and been running off of for the past 30, 40, 50, 60 years, it would just be inaccurate. And again, I'm not here to excuse the problems when it comes to voting left. Absolutely not. In fact, and I can talk all day about our frustrations with several individuals or the institution as a whole, and more so compliment certain individuals who are trying to make it better. But it's a little wild to go as far as to say both sides would have done the exact same thing. One side did not run off of mass deportation and justifies and excuses detaining and in some cases deporting not American citizens deporting, but Purple Heart veterans, people who have served this country in our military forces, and then pay for it with getting sent back, in some cases, a country that they didn't even come here from. I don't agree with that. Kamala Harris did not run off of that. She very much emphasized the importance of border security alongside being humanitarian to the people who actually need an escape from their home countries, whether it's gang violence, domestic violence, so on and so forth.
I talked to different communists, and they all tell me that she and Biden deported more people, which I'm not sure about because I have, in fact, I know I should have fact checked, but I have not. But they keep telling me that.
So, as it sits right now, they're correct. But this is often a talking point. This this is the problem I have with some communists. They talk like far right people. So very much so, they deported more than Trump at this point. But there's a difference, right? So we can't stop deportations. In fact, we should welcome deportations. What I mean by that is there are people who do not need to be in this country that are causing harm to not only members of their community, but American citizens, and they have to go.
I agree.
Right? There's no getting around deportations. More so, it was done via the law, right? It was done humanitarianly. People were not violated of their due process. That's what we're seeing with this round of deportations. And this is where a lot of people get things messed up. The left isn't against deportations. There's a lot of them are going like, no, whatever. But we're pro getting rid of criminals and people who are actual threats and problems to this country. What we're not is running off of that and then deporting people who are minding their business, deporting people who are established members of the community, business owners, teachers, so on and so forth. And that's what we've been seeing from this administration, and that's what we speak out against.
No, yeah, it's because like what I was trying to tell them was it's kind of like what you're telling me right now, that we like many things that are happening right now that are really bad wouldn't be happening under Kamala, and they were just telling me, oh, like you're doing. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I struggle with saying lots of things. I'm
That's
so
okay.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
Kamala, right?
Kamala.
Kamala.
Is that
Kamala.
like, oh, it's basically Kamala. That's it. Yeah.
Kamala.
We can just say
Kamala.
Miss Harris if it's easier.
Miss Harris, yes, I'm sorry. Okay, so Miss Harris. So I was trying to tell them that wouldn't happen under her, and they were telling me that I was doing the some sort of logical fallacy where I was speaking one bad over the other bad.
Say that again.
I get that. I think I understand what you said. I think just to summarize what Hector laid out, and one of the things that you said you cared about was human dignity. And as Hector described, the current administration, when it comes to deportation and immigration policy, is certainly not showing or focusing on and prioritizing human dignity. That's certainly not what's happening. We should all agree. I think we can all agree that we have an immigration system that needs a lot of help.
Oh
But
yeah.
I always lean in. I'm a humanist. I don't want people to be treated the way that people are being treated. I think everybody deserves due process. I think we need to support. We need a solution, not duct tape and heavy-handed authoritarian, Gestapo, jackbooted thugs rounding people up in neighborhoods. We need to approach this humanely, impactful on the economy, how we can best support, our laws, and at the same time maintain human dignity.
No, yeah, I completely agree with that.
Let me give you an example. So when it comes to police, our police force go out there, and don't get me wrong, I understand the issues with the police system, but there are many individuals in there who do go out to serve their communities. They do go out to help people. They do go out with the intention of stopping or mitigating crime. And they go out there, face. They show their face. They let you know, I'm here for you. I'm with you. I'm here to do my job, and I'm here to make sure that you're good. And the Trump administration has excused masking these people under the guise of protecting their identities. But the fact of the matter is, they wouldn't be under any threat whatsoever if they weren't out here screwing people up, like just like fucking people up. So I bring this up to Republicans all the time, especially the ones that are pro police force and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. So if you're pro police, why are you pro ICE? Because police go out there and risk their lives every single day without a mask, and we can hold them accountable if they do wrong. We can't do that with ICE. We've had several reports of not only people dressing up as ICE and buying gear that you can easily get online, disguising themselves as ICE to sexually assault women, to kidnap people. These are well-documented reports, but we also have individuals who are ICE agents who are messing up citizens in the streets. And there's no way of us going, hey, this person's name is Victor Decken. Like we can't do that. We can't hold them accountable. We can't trust DHS to do it internally because we don't know who they are. And that's the problem that I have with ICE and how we're going about it now. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate you.
I see. No, yeah, I also find lots of issues with ICE, especially because even like me, I feel like I did the legal process. I'm still under the legal process. Um, um, and I still gotta fear ICE, even though I'm legal, because they might just do whatever they want with me because I'm not from here.
And I wish we lived in a country where I can tell you that wouldn't be a concern because you're going about it the legal way. But I actually just went over a story that one of my followers sent to me yesterday. And we did over this live, where there was a woman recently who had the documentation. She had her immunization report. She had everything else. And then ICE just claimed that she falsified all of it. No proof whatsoever. She's currently being detained and held. Her lawyers can't get to her because they said she made up the documents. That's the world we live in now, where you
That
can
is
have the
really
right stuff, but if they have a vendetta against you, they can just say whatever.
God bless you.
We see that with Kilmar. We saw that with a few other individuals. Once they deem that you're the enemy, it's very hard for little old you to go up against the federal government.
No, yeah.
God bless you.
And it makes me really scared too,
Yes.
like for my mom, because for example, like I speak English, I can defend myself, right? But my mom doesn't. And I'm pretty sure there's many people's moms out there that like are legally here, but they don't speak English. And ICE just does whatever they want with them. And now that you mentioned this, like the whole ICE thing, like that kind of reminds me that the reason that I'm like so left leaning, because like I don't see the right or anyone else caring or taking care of these issues. Actually, I see the right perpetrating these issues and enabling it, because they say that if you're not a U.S. citizen, that you shouldn't have rights, like that they should be able to just detain you and deport you without due process.
Unfortunately. Yeah, dude.
correct.
Sounds like you're
No
a
notes. Yeah, no notes.
you're a full-on leftist. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like I was just questioning myself because of talking too much to communists, and because they kept telling me, the last thing that I'm gonna mention that they told me, what, and I feel like it's appropriate to mention in this live, was that like both the right and the left are based and run on anti-blackness. Yeah.
So, yes and no. And in fact, I'm glad you brought that up. That kind of goes into what I have up here: one bird, different wings. And it's funny actually, because I had a conversation with a friend yesterday about why I reworded it. Because typically the saying is two wings of the same bird. I only slightly reworded it to one bird, different wings, is because everyone establishes the one bird as being the same system, which makes both wings the same, and that's disingenuous. Yes, they're of the same bird of the political system, but they're fighting for two vastly different things, and I want to highlight them. But when it comes to anti-blackness, I'll just say it like this: racism does not prefer any gender. It does not prefer
God
any
bless you.
party. It does not prefer. It just is. Everyone is susceptible to racism. The difference between the parties is one runs off of it and the other struggles with it. Does that make sense? So I'd be lying if I sat here and told you that there wouldn't be racist in the Democratic Party, whether boldface or people deconstructing from it. I think in general, everyone who isn't a person of color has racism to deconstruct within themselves, whether it was taught to them or not. So that's absolutely an issue in the party, and there are many racial issues that they're not necessarily doing the best on. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that they both stand on anti-blackness. It was the Republican Party or sectors of the Republican Party that tried to use some 18-something law to say that Kamala Harris was not a citizen based off of her lineage, not being associated with this much slaves or some stuff, and then say she would be an illegitimate American citizen and she couldn't run for the presidency. It was one party who cheered on their candidate when he tried to negate her blackness. It was one party that is complimenting him every single time he associates DEI and DEIA with black people specifically, as if we're just getting handouts. So no, where the Democratic Party will acknowledge racial issues, in many cases take attempts to undo it, such as DEIA, such as affirmative action, which was struck down and then DEIA is under attack. Just look no further than their actions, right? Again, they both struggle with racism, but one more so stands on it, and then look at the actions that they try to do to correct it. Well, Donald Trump will sit here and say, that was this much time ago, blah, blah, blah. Democrats will go, well, hey, we just had redlining lawsuit as early as this year, 2025. We still have many racial attacks. We saw with the unaliving of a particular individual, HBCUs were threatened. We still have lynchings going on in the United States. What can we do to address these issues? And there's only one party really doing that.
Voter suppression, etc.
Yes.
You know,
2021 is a wild year in Atlanta when it comes to that voter suppression. I remember watching stories on the amount of voter drop-offs, the boxes that they took away, polling stations that they closed. They changed the hours for the weekday and reduced the hours on the weekends, which made it more difficult for people to arrive. And it's very prominent in black and brown communities. And it's Democrats that are saying we need to expand access to vote so that more people can get involved in our process, where Republicans are trying to make it harder with things like voter ID and stuff. So, yeah.
Souls to the polls, right, Hector? That was something that they tried to change voting hours. A big movement in black churches in particular. Souls to the polls.
wow.
Huge. Yes. Huge.
That is actually great. I knew that the Republican Party was dirty, but I did not know that they were that dirty.
6,000%.
That is crazy. But no, yeah. So thank you so much for clarifying like my like where I stood, because like I just kept feeling like I was being gaslit, you know.
What I'll tell you going forward before we drop you down is a lot of people have a lot of things to say. And platforms like this make it easy for just anybody and everybody to have a voice. Now, I in no way, shape, or form am trying to sit here and act like I'm an authority figure on voting or anything else, on the parties or anything else. But I consider myself well-read. All of my opinions are formed based off of what I have read and what I have fact-checked and what I know. There's a lot of hurt people who speak out of frustration and emotion, which is valid. Their feelings are valid. But it doesn't get us anywhere to spread misinformation. It doesn't get us anywhere not to be fully informed on the things that we're saying and the harm that it's caused. And again, when it comes to that harm, I would say look no further than the 2024 election. But I appreciate you coming up. Fax, did you want to say anything else?
Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, not a problem, man.
Thanks, Aiden.
Good
Go
luck
vote.
to the...
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with the registering thing. Get that done. Appreciate you coming up. Good old chat.
So everyone, look at that handsome man right there. I believe there's a live goal that's above his head. I expect to see that taken care of quite quickly. If I have to call in reinforcements, I will. Please tap like crazy. Please share the live. There's nearly 500 people in here. Can we get the likes up to 50,000, please? Thank you all very much. Thanks for flying,
6,000%.
Hector Airlines.
Thanks for flying Hector Airlines. Or
God bless you.
I would probably say Hector Airlines right now. Anyways, appreciate everyone for joining in.
Now.
We are going up to 500 people, so I know we have more individuals in the chat who are non-voters. I know we have someone down there who may have some questions. You may have some concerns. You may have some criticisms. So the platform is for that too. Don't get me wrong. Again, I keep stressing this. You guys hear the stuff I talk about. I don't want anyone to think. Thank you guys for the follows. I do not want anyone to think I am some shill, okay? You can come up here and you can tell me 6 to 10 different problems with the party, and I will most likely agree with you so long as it's rooted in factual information. So that's okay too. The goal of this live more so is to see the big picture. That's all it is, right? You have two jobs. You have two job offers. One job offer is 10 minutes away from you. The next one is 20 minutes. This job offer has more uptight, sticky people, and this one has nicer people, but maybe that one pays less, so on and so forth. Nothing is perfect. Fax went over this earlier. Nothing is perfect. It's about choosing the best option for you and what you want going forward. And maybe you may need some help narrowing that down. I think we did a pretty good job with the last guest, so that is the goal of this live today. So once again, if you are a non-voter, request up in the box. You are the demographic of people that I want to speak to. And if you're over on the tube side, you may call in the number on screen. Actually, let me make sure I have that number working. I do. You may call in the number on screen. That's going to be 737-295-5321. Make sure we're taking care of Facts Don't Matter as well. He also has his links in his bio. He doesn't have a clearly outlined goal, but the goal is, as always, to ensure that Facts is saying just as many thank yous as me.
God bless
so
you.
make sure we're taking good care of him as well. I'm going to take a moment to go over the topics as I presented them on the sticker here. Your vote counts. This is something that I think... I would say the majority of people who don't vote ultimately land there. That is their position, that they do not actually think it has any impact whatsoever. And I'm really doing my best not to just only fall back on what's happening today with this administration, but it's the easiest example of it. But we can even go as far as to looking throughout history. You can go back 60 years, 50 years, 40 years, 30 years. We can look at the ACA. We can look at the Infrastructure Act. We can look at... in some cases, the attempts at prison reform that was made starting with Obama, where he heavily leaned into that. And in some cases, Trump tried to pick up after him with the First Step Act. We won't get into that joke. But look no further than what happens when this administration is in office and when this administration is office, where things can go from better to worse depending on what they run off of. I think that is a clear indication of exactly how your vote counts. And to some communities' credit, there are demographics that feel like no matter who's in office, they're ultimately still screwed. I would still more so say even to those people, there are folks more so on the Democratic side that are trying to bring light to those issues as well. But make no mistake, your vote matters, especially locally. Like everyone hyper-focused on the federal level. I know people right now who won't vote in the federal election, but they'll vote locally. I think that's... I won't say it's fine, but I can still respect that they're using their civil right to vote. The next one is action over complaining. And this one here is kind of...
Hector, looks like the prompts might have got cut off a little bit on the left side. Just a FYI, I saw somebody make a comment about that.
Let me see here.
That's better.
All right. How is that looking now?
Much better to me.
One day I hope to be as well-spoken as Hector. Oh, shut up, Dan.
It's true.
You guys let me know how it's looking now. Way better? Way better?
Yeah, we're good.
Perfect. Awesome. Action versus complaining. I don't know about y'all. My mama raised me. Still cut off for me. Some of that may just be y'all's phones. How much is cut off is my question. How much is cut off? That's what I want to know.
I see the dots, so that seems to be the line for me.
Okay.
Looks good.
Can everyone... Let's do a quick poll. Here we go. Smiling face if you can see it all. Frowny face if you cannot. Smiley face if you can see the entire sticker up top there, and frowny face if you cannot. Ooh, it's a little too close for me.
Wow.
It's a little too close for
Must
me.
be all those Android users.
See, there he goes. It may be. So I'm here. See, I'm on my old Pixel 3. I have it all there. So far too many people have it cut off. So I'm gonna move it around a little bit. But I'll move it in a second. The next one is action versus complaining. As I was saying, My mama raised me that complaining about stuff doesn't do anything. While I kind of hate that statement and how it's been used, especially with men, to negate talking about your emotions and things that are bothering you, I understood the sentiment from the place of we have two actions in life. When a problem is in front of us, we can try to fix it, or we can just sit around and complain. And I will complain. I complain all day, every day. But you best believe I'm doing something about it too. I'm 27 years old. I intend to live as long as I have the ability to, and I intend to spend those years trying to fix every single thing that I believe I can or have a role in, because the alternative is, not to be crude, but the way I say it, you fix it or die. You fix it or you die, and I'm not dying without a fight. I intend to do something about all the issues that I have. I try to use my platform to bring awareness to many of them. I know Facts obviously does a fantastic job at that as well. So my position when it comes to voting is that my 2024 was the first time I ever voted in any election, local or federal. A lot of people don't know that about me. I only just got involved in this last year, and my big regret is not being more involved beforehand, when I realized just how many people are hurting and how, with the right voices behind the right people, we can make those changes. I really wish I started earlier. So that's what I intend to do for the remainder of my days. And I want to hope other people fix the ban or you die. Exactly. I intend to do what I can with my platform for the time being, and that's going to involve voting locally and federally. Third one, we already touched on this one a little bit, and that's going to be one bird, different wings. Again, the problem I have with people who make the statement or similar ones is they're using it as an excuse to do nothing. And while I'm trying to be very nice about how I talk about this one, let's be real. Excuses are excuses. There's a lot of people who do not want to put the time necessary to figure out what's what when it comes to our process, because they ultimately don't care, because maybe they're not feeling the impact directly, or maybe they are, but they still think it's useless. I don't think that's a winning attitude, and I try to do everything. I try to approach everything from a winning attitude, because I don't like losing. I don't like feeling helpless. And I feel like we do that often with that statement that's being made. No one's ignoring the problems with both wings. Specifically one side, the wing that advocates for human rights for everyone, but doesn't seem to be the most active with it when it comes to certain policies. There's no good reason why we don't have universal health care, in my opinion. There's no good reason why we don't have enough Democrats talking about it openly, presenting it into Congress. I think that's something that we need to run off of in 2028 to some degree. But that's the difference. One person's going, we need more health care for all. And the other one's going, we need to privatize it. I think the answer is simple in that regard, especially to people. If you know what it's like to go without healthcare, I think the answer is simple. And the final one is couch privilege. When we talk about privilege, it's mostly the popular one that we hear all the time is white privilege, right? White privilege. Many individuals who have the privilege of not understanding how protected they are in this society, even the ones who live in trailer parks in the worst parts of America, have a comfort that many other demographics, such as myself and whatnot, may not have. But privilege is privilege. There's different forms. And when it comes to couch privilege, to explain that point, that means people who can choose to sit out of the elections, choose not to vote, and feel perfectly fine and unimpacted. That is a privilege. And it's one that not every community can afford to have. So check your privilege. Absolutely check your privilege. There's a lot of people, and I've seen them on lives, I've talked to them personally, who have a lot of dip on their chip when it comes to proudly not voting and thinking that we're the sheep for trying to play a role in making people's lives better as they sit around and do nothing. I think that's dangerous. I think it's very, very dangerous, especially when we're talking about the black community. The majority of us have never had that right to sit out the elections. Many of us do it, and by many, I mean a very small percentage, but the vast majority of us understand how much this shit impacts us, and you see it every single election. But With that being said, those are the topics. You may pick from any one of them, or if you have any questions, concerns, comments, criticisms, you can request up in the box. Non-voters, this is a live for non-voters. You are the demographic of people that I want to speak to. If you're over on the tube, once again, the number is there. Thank you guys for doing all the taps and good things, sharing out the live to your friends and family. Make sure you add it to your story and repost. Send your daily heart meets if you have not already. And let's see if we can get some chats going. Thank you, those of you on the tube side. Greatly appreciate every last one of you. Fantastic mods over there that I kind of left out yesterday. My fault. You guys are great as well for keeping these lives going.
Can I add one thing to what you said? It's yes, obviously we need more people involved in the voting process, but I think we just need more people involved in general. I mean, activism is a muscle. The more you use it, I talk about do something every single day, and I think getting people involved in their community, helping out at after school, reading to kids, volunteering at a houseless shelter, things like that, I think shows people that the impact that their vote could actually make helping these communities that are under threat. And I wish more people approached it that way, saying how can I best serve my community, or what is a way in which I can serve my community. And like I said, activism is a muscle. You got to exercise it. You got to use it. The more you do, and I firmly believe that the more you do, it becomes easier the next time. Of course, we all love doing sit-ups and push-ups. The more you do them, said no one ever, the more you do them, ideally, the easier it becomes. But that's not the case. Anyway, activism's different. Get involved, folks. Get involved. Just do something every day.
That's a very good point. I do think we need to have an equal combination of asking people to vote, but then also saying that, let's be real, voting can't solve everything.
Correct.
Say you're voting on a piece of legislation that's going to help bring more food assistance to your community. Well, Congress is slow. Thank you for the gifts. Appreciate you. It takes time for this stuff to be passed, time for it to be fully implemented. And there are people starving now. Maybe you have some extra beans in your cabinet. Maybe you have some extra dollars in your wallet that you can put towards getting a family a meal that day, that couple days, that week, that month. You can join a pool of people that will ensure that the folks around you are taken care of. So
God bless you.
I very much do think you guys need to show up at the ballot boxes, but then I think when you're done leaving there, because it doesn't take long, you need to be checking with the people around you and seeing if they're okay. I'm really proud of the community, the way you guys came through when we did the food bank fundraiser a couple weeks back in light of the government shutdown and so many people not getting their benefits, at least not initially. And we were able to do a good bit for Houston. Like, it's stuff like that. And I saw other creators do the exact same in their platforms. We need all of that too. While we're telling you to get up to the polls, we're also saying you're going to the polls for people. You're going to the polls for yourself. So you can't ignore what's happening right in front of your face. And if you can play a role in helping there, please make sure you do the same as well. Thank you guys for knocking out that gift goal. Let me go ahead and reset it here. Let me do this one. We get it, Vince. So let me reset this here. We're going to do the necklaces. Appreciate you guys for that. I think, I'll tell you what, let me ask you this, Fax. When was your, you may not want to answer this. I don't know if I'm telling your age or whatnot. When was the first time you voted?
When I turned 18, so 9,000 years ago. It's captured on a hieroglyphic on a cave wall somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I'm great. I mentioned this before in my lives. I'm grateful that my mom and my dad both, but my mother in particular, was was involved in local politics, which kind of got me interested in it as well. And we talked about the why it's important to vote, and it became this big thing for us. In my state, Vermont, we have this thing called town meeting. It's actually in our constitution, where it's Australian ballot, where members of the community gather every March, the first Monday in March, and we sit around in community buildings or in elementary schools, and people vote, and people bring in pies, and people bring in cider, and it becomes this thing. And it was always very appealing to me. So I've always been involved, and I'm fortunate, and I'm a bit of a politics wonk. I like it, but it's always been intriguing to me, and I try to encourage others to do the same, as you know.
I think there are people that heard what you just said right there and just went, "Oh my gosh, he was indoctrinated from youth. They got him right."
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, a couple years ago, I would have been one of those people. I grew up in a very non-political household. It was that guy's kind of cool. That guy's really stupid. Oh well, good luck to them kind of situation. I finally got my mother a couple months ago to consider, not even do it, consider at least voting locally. Because especially, and they're also religious too. There's another conversation about how some people's faith and whatever is what they use to say not vote, which is interesting. But I finally got her to say, hey, let's maybe I'll do it locally. Maybe I'll look at the candidates there. But it's baffling to me hearing like your experience and how different that was from mine, and the things that shaped those opinions. What would you say to someone who would have that kind of response to what you just said? What would you say to someone who just goes, wow, you were told a lie, sold a lie from the jump?
I would probably acknowledge them to say, I can completely understand why you're saying that. It's just a decision that I made early on. I was introduced to politics by my mother in particular, and why it was important, and why we should vote for others, and why. And I look at it as the duties or the responsibilities we have as citizens of the United States: pay your taxes and vote. Those are really the only things that you're really expected to do as a citizen of our nation. And if we all can't do the bare minimum, then that's a problem. I think we struggle in the presidential elections to get 65% of registered voters to vote. Mm-hmm. That's just horrible. It's not okay. So again, apathy is where democracies go to die. So I want to flip that script, which is again why I'm so excited you asked me to do this with you today, because it's exactly the conversation that we should be having.
6,000%. Really quickly, W's in the chat to Stephanie for the $1 Venmo dollar challenge. Let's go. Who's going to match me? Are we doing a dollar challenge? Okay, 6,000%. Anyone who wants to show their thanks, obviously, I've been screaming this for quite some time now, especially right now. It's Christmas. We're broke. We're all broke. Okay, times are tough for every single person. But I would appreciate anyone and everyone who would be able to donate. Stephanie wants you guys to start a dollar train. If you'd like to show your appreciation to either myself or Fax, either or you're supporting this mission that we're doing, you may hit up our links in the bio. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And W's in the chat too. Erica for the $10 Venmo. This is an awesome live, and big ups for broaching this topic. Also, let's get this goal moving. Bam, and now we do. W's in the chat to Erica, y'all. W's in the chat to Erica. Appreciate your support. Guys, best ways to support this platform, myself specifically, is Hector Talks with 2 R's and Cash App and PayPal, Venmo, and then Hector Pal with 2 O's and 2 R's on the PayPal. And please make sure you're hitting up Fax links as well. I want to hear some thank yous from him, because if I don't, you're embarrassing me in front of my guests, and then we're going to have to talk about that after the live.
Thank you to Erica as well. So I can fanboy, since I got a nice contribution on the V from her. So thank you, Erica. Love you, friend.
W's. Awesome. Miss Donna, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you doing?
I'm good, Hector. You gave me courage.
Me?
Yes. Because I have never admitted to anyone, no one knows this, that I did not vote until I was 50.
Why did you feel ashamed not to talk about that?
Because when I finally realized that voting was important, I had never been really politically aware. I was kind of like you. I was raised in a household where you were a Democrat and that was it. A lot of like these youngsters that get up in the debates and stuff, and you can tell that they were just raised that way and they don't know any different. And I never was encouraged that if I didn't vote, it didn't matter, whether I voted or not. And it was just like, well, I like him because he's a Democrat. I don't like him because he's a Republican. And never really understood the depth of politics until, and I hate to say this, Hector, oh my God, but it wasn't until it affected me that I realized how important my vote was, and that was with senior and junior.
Mm. You know,
It wasn't until senior and junior. Me voting for Obama had little to do with him being a black man.
mhm.
It had everything to do with that the Bushes broke my ass down to pretty much nothing, where it was like somebody got to be better than these two goofballs.
That brings up an
And that's just
interesting.
being honest.
Thank you for that. That does bring up an interesting point I want to talk about a little bit. I've spoken to so many people at this point, and then you're gonna have this one side that grew up in a household where their family members just said, "Vote Democrat just because," and they. I'll say I personally feel like they ultimately kind of failed their children in the sense of just vote Democrat because that's the only option kind of situation. I don't think that's enough anymore. I think it's important for you to understand why they're doing it. I don't think a lot of households like normalize going in depth about why they're voting Democrat, why that would be quote unquote the only option, at least federally, in my opinion. When it comes to me growing up, one of the reasons that helped me assisted me shifting to the right before I got up out of that was, again, my family was non-political except for my dad. My dad always said, and I never really cared to listen because he never explained it. He always said, vote Democrat because they put more money in your pocket. That's always what he said. And it's easy to say that, but then when I felt like I didn't see it, such as the common talking point, hey, look at your gas prices in 2018, 2019, 2020. Look at the grocery prices, blah, blah, blah. And then immediately after, under the blue white guy, bam, everything shoots up. So that is why a lot of people went right this election, because they did not understand what all entailed those low prices. They didn't understand how, in many cases, we can talk about OPEC and other things, he set up the prices to be this low to go up under Democratic administrations. We see that time and time again. His tax plans that would end at this period in time that would affect the Democratic administration, so on and so forth. But really quickly, we do have someone up here, Benjamin.
Yep.
I feel like I've seen you before. Did you vote?
Oh, I voted. Yeah, we had a conversation with Erica yesterday. You were there. She wouldn't answer my conversation. She wouldn't answer.
Okay. Well, then this conversation isn't for you.
Bye.
'Cause I was about to say, I vaguely remembered him from Erica's Live. I'm pretty sure he's a Trump supporter. Literally, this is the one day I'm not talking to y'all. Respect some boundaries for once. I know that's hard for you. We're just talking to non-voters, individuals who are feel that their vote is disenfranchised, that their voice doesn't matter, that there's ultimately no point. That is who we're trying to talk to today, not the people who think voting for Trump means a damn thing. So, better yet, if you're a non-voter, and maybe this is also something I've heard. Oh, we're going to get back to my first point. I'm going all over the place now. This is also something that I've heard. I'm a non-voter. And I don't like the Democrats because of A, B, C. Sometimes A and B is very valid. And I don't like the Republicans, but they seem like the better option because of A or B, or they ran off of this one thing that I really liked. So if I were to vote, I'd vote for them. We could talk about that too. But the baseline for you to request up in this box or calling the number on screen is that you haven't voted. This isn't a live for people who have been for years. You're good. We'll have a conversation with you on the other day. But back to my original point, I think there's a lot of people who are doing the youth a disservice when they talk about voting blue, but they don't talk about why.
Oh, gosh.
In some cases, Miss Donna, I would say black people especially, we really got to do a bit better than just saying vote blue because the Civil Rights Act. You know what I mean? Like come on. Like it's there's so much more to why the majority of us stick to this side.
And see, my thing is with my grandbabies is that I'm trying to raise them different and break it down to them so that they understand how important their vote is and how important. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. I've learned more from you, Erica, and all these podcasts, Dean Parker, everybody, but I also go to the other side, not just behind MAGA hunting, but just to hear where their opinions and stuff come from and then do the research myself and trying to teach this to my grandchildren and trying to encourage my children to vote because they weren't brought up like that by me.
Well, I was thinking, Miss Donna, as you mentioned that, and don't take this as that I want you to feel regret. But now that you've realized that maybe this is something you should have done when you were younger, I mean, you're still just super young at 50. What advice would you have given to your 18-year-old self about getting involved in politics early, if you could go back in time?
Plus, okay, let me it's 50 plus 16.
Well, again, I was gonna. You
don't have to tell us
flowers. Take your flowers and say 50.
But if I had to go back to my 18-year-old self, I would have been running to the voting poll. You know,
Sure.
Because especially because of the time when I turned 18. I turned 18 in the 70s. You know, civil rights and all that had just transformed back then. So, you know, if I had to go back to 18, and no, not living with regret, but at the same time regretting that I didn't know then what I know now, absolutely. I got a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old grandchildren. I know they get sick of me because I'm drilling it down their throat now, like how important it is and how important it is for them to be aware of what's going on and what this current administration and how it can affect them when Nana's not here anymore.
Thanks for asking follows. What was I going to add to that? I think what I hope, especially with, this is my personal opinion, I think it's reflected somewhat. You guys tell me if you agree or not. Did you mention your grandchildren were boys or girls?
A boy 17 and a girl 13.
I think that with boys specifically, that, how do I say this? I think there needs to be an open conversation about, especially when it comes to, like, say, some of the music, some media, chat spaces, like video game rooms and whatnot. I think more parents need to consider sitting down with their kids and going, is there anything that you feel resonates with you from Trump, from the right? And I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. I think it would be ignorant to think that the influence that the right has had on the youth is something that's not going to impact your family or your grandkids or whatnot. I think there's a lot of feelings that some kids may have, especially in households where we're telling them to vote Democrat, to vote blue, that they don't feel comfortable sharing. So I would advise I'm not a fucking parent. I'm just a thought I had. I would advise parents to sit down with their kids and go, is there anything on that side that you feel like resonate with you? Is there anything on that side that you thought was appealing? And let's talk about that. So we'll give them the space to where if they do have those feelings, they can do it instead of, because we know the shunning approach with kids doesn't work. So
Right.
That's just a thought that I had. That is something I would do if I had children. I'd be like, is there something Trump said that makes sense? It's okay. You can tell me. Because on the surface level, and I mean the very top tip of the surface, strong borders sounds good to everybody. School choice sounds good to everyone, although that's ridiculous. Affordability, so on and so forth, before it became a hoax. But all those things sound good on paper and appeals to a lot of people. So then when you don't know much about much, and then you have a family member, whatnot, going, well, they're evil, they're this, they're that, it can leave people feeling a little confused.
And that's exactly what I don't want for my grandchildren because of the confusion that I had once my dad really, really sat down with me the last 10 years of his life and helped me understand politics. Like he was opened the door for me because I didn't want to hear it prior to that. And my mother was definitely political. She didn't care one way or another. but I try, especially my grandson, because of his age. And I have the door open for him when the whole Charlie Kirk situation happened. You know, my grandson actually came to me and was like, Nana, I don't understand. And I was able to have a good conversation with him about it, because fortunately I had opened up that door for him prior to. But see, my son and my daughter-in-law, they have their foot in my grandchildren's neck when it comes to social media. Neither one of my grandchildren have access to social media, period, point blank. The only social media that my grandkids are exposed to is through school. And
Miss
so
Donna,
it,
I'm sorry.
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was just gonna say, I
And
mean, you could always be self-deprecating too. You could say, you know, people in my generation messed a whole bunch of shit up, and we need you to save us from ourselves.
oh, I say that all the time. I
There you
say
go.
that all the time. I said baby boomers and Gen X need they butts kicked. Cause baby boom, cause I'm like I relate to both. I relate because I was born at the end of baby boomer. So in a lot of instances I relate to Gen X more. And Gen X and baby boomers, you know, we were the peace, love, happiness, we don't give a shit, pretty much.
Mhm.
And we're suffering the repercussions of that now. Trump is a prime example of baby boomers and Gen X. If you know you want to keep it real. Little did I know
Sadly.
that. I didn't know that in 2009 because I had never really entered the political spectrum to even understand. And then, you know, with my parents being victims of Jim Crow and running from the South to California for a better life for their kids so that they, you know, didn't have to grow up under those circumstances, I was even shielded more, you know, because I had to live through JFK, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the Watts riots, you know, the whole 9 yards. I was aware of what was going on, but didn't understand, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yes, yes, it does. I've heard some young people say stuff along those lines of, "Oh, this previous generation messed it up so bad to where there's nothing I can do to fix it," and that's sad. That's terrible, actually, to be in that mental state. I don't think it's true, but I get why people feel that way. So that is the goal of this live today. Really and truly, I don't care what generation that you're from. I want to teach you the importance of taking your power back. That's what voting was for me. Or more so, it was utilizing the power that I never knew I had for the first time, which was invigorating. It was inspiring. And I think that approach can help a lot of people too. But Miss Donna, I appreciate you so much for coming up. Fax, is there anything else you want to say before I drop her down?
Nice to meet you, Miss Donna. I followed you. Thank you for getting involved, and thank you for encouraging your grandchildren to get involved too. I appreciate it.
6,000%.
Well, I'm hoping that me requesting up, I appreciate both you and Hector. I just want to say this, and you can drop me, but if I didn't do anything else today, I hope that I encourage a non-voter to seek out why they're not voting and do something about it.
Exactly. Vote for Donald J. Trump, baby. Let's get it.
Sure, buddy. Thank you, Miss Donna, for coming up and telling your story. I'm glad I inspire you to keep talking about these things, and I hope we did the same for other people. You enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
God bless
W's
you.
in the chat to Miss Danielle. W's in the
God
chat
bless.
to Miss Donna. Thank you, Jess. Did you vote for Trump?
I was gonna say this might get me in a little bit of trouble, but I blame it all on millennials. I'll just leave that right there. If you know, you know.
What do you blame the millennials for, Fax?
Everything.
Talk about that in a second. Did you vote for Trump, Brussels?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What does the background say?
Multi-guest request up. Yeah, multi-guest. What does that mean exactly?
I'll tell you what, non-voters down in the chat listening to this right now. If you want a reason, if you think I'm too biased, if you think Fax is still biased, if you want a reason to understand the importance of not voting for people who voted alongside Brussels here, you can take into consideration the fact that the average one of them can't fucking read. I think that is very indicative of.
Well, bro,
all
you
the
got a
reasons
small
why you
little
should
font on.
Probably avoid that side of the aisle because their lack of understanding and of what this live is about, because I've seen your comments, so I know you've been here for a little bit, is baffling to me. And I actually think it comes with the vote. Like, I think there's a base level that starts before they go into the booth, and I think once they actually vote, it just erodes the rest of what they have left. That is my personal opinion. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, Sprout. It's not much of a flex, my guy.
So what is it about Donald Trump you guys don't like?
I'll tell you what. Do me a favor.
So-
I want you to tell me
Yep.
what is it about Democrats that you didn't like. Tube, give me a second. It's about to get muted. I want you to tell me what you don't like about Democrats. You want to elaborate on that? What? I didn't hear you, Brussels. Can anyone hear Brussels? I can't hear him. Brussels, are you there? Hello? What happened to Brussels? Did his mic cut out? Where's your mic? Oh. I'm not sure. That was weird. I don't know what happened. His sound kind of messed
That
up,
just
I
made
guess.
my day.
Yeah.
That just made my day.
W's in the chat to Gucci for the $5 Venmo dollar challenge. All right. Well, that is more than $1. W's, Gucci. Thank you so much. W's in the chat to Anna for the $5 for the dollar challenge. Let's fucking go. I love that in this one instance, you guys can't count correctly. I'm just kidding. W's to y'all. W's in the chat to Dean for the dollar challenge accepted. Let's go. W's in the chat to Dana for the $5 for thank you with the purple heart. I appreciate you. W's in the chat to Nahal for $1 for you. W's for your $1. I appreciate that. W's in the chat to Kiara for the $5 on PayPal. I'll see the dollar and raise it to $5. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much, Kiara. W's in the chat to Vincent for the $5. This message is for you. Oh. No, I know that, Vincent. W's in the chat to Vincent for his $5. Appreciate you. And W's in the chat to Shauna for the W's in the chat to Shauna for the 10 on Venmo. I appreciate every last one of you. Big dubs to all the donators. Fax, do you have any thank yous? And I better hear a yes.
Absolutely. Gucci, thank you. Dollar Challenge. Gucci says you're awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you. Also, Dean, thank you so much. It's some new names. Love everything you do. Thank you, Dean. I appreciate that. And also to Shauna as well. Shauna said, thank you for all you do as well. Thank you, Shauna. I appreciate you guys very, very much. It's great to be here. Appreciate it.
37. W's to you guys. Thank
Math
you so
in your
much.
head.
Yes. Make sure that we continue to take care of Fax here. Those of you who want to support the platform, you may hit up all of our links in the bio. Mine specifically are Hector Talks with 2 R's and Cash App and Venmo. And on the PayPal, Hector Pal with 2 O's and 2 R's. W's for all the donors. I greatly appreciate every last one of you. If you, math 37. Okay. If you are a non-voter, this is the live for you. Again, I'm not here to talk to whiny Trump supporters today. I'm here to talk to people who don't see the point in voting for either side. I clearly have my leanings on where I think you should vote, but it mostly aligns with your values. Again, that's where I tell everyone to go. I don't say vote Democrat just because. I say, what do you care about? And then go from there. And I think that is, to some degree, something that we can all learn from our side of the aisle. It can be a little... I don't know, it can run people off when they feel like you're just another one of those people that are begging for votes for this side and there's not much substance to it. So when I ask people to vote, I start with what they care about, and then I'll tell them, well, hey, well, here's what this person ran off of. Here's what this person actually did. Here's the movement that we've gotten here, so on and so forth. You got to give them reasons. It can't just be do it because Trump's bad. I've talked about this with Eric and several other creators. I think to some degree it should be enough, but it's not. Bashing Trump is not enough anymore.
No.
Because then we've convinced so many people, or no, we haven't convinced anyone. They've convinced themselves, and our rhetoric has somewhat supported it, that he's politically persecuted, that he's the victim in all this because nobody can seem to keep his names out their mouth. Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever how people get to that mindset. No, but it's there. So we have to do better, especially in 2028, than just saying vote for us because that candidate is bad. We have to say vote for us because we're going to do this for you in spite of the other candidates.
One of the things that I respect about you and Erica and others, other creators on this app, is that you in particular, you can be very objective. So I'm going to have a question for you. So if we were, and I've always thought this from a thought experiment perspective, but if you were to remove red, blue, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, any particular label, and just listed a series of things like healthcare that's affordable for everyone, access to capital, a change to the tax code to benefit the middle class, things like that. Do you think that Republicans or conservatives would ever win another election?
Absolutely not.
You know where I'm going with that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would go
because to your point, if you vote for things that matter to you, if we don't label them, if we just talk about them as to how they would benefit the middle class, I don't see how anyone would ever vote conservative.
6,000%. And then the fallback, if we were to start doing that more, would then just be, oh, well, that's socialism. That's this, that's that. That's all they would have. If they can't associate with a party, they could associate with the systems that they fear-mongered us to scream and cry about.
Exactly.
That's their best defense. And I think that's another example of why I stand where I stand. Again, I'm not trying to pick, but at the end of the day, I'm a progressive. I'm on the left. It never ceases to amaze me that Republicans, their entire platform is fear. Their entire platform is those guys are just evil, sexually loose, Pizzagate, baby sacrificing, eating Hollywood shills. Like that's their whole thing, and they want to destroy the country. When I say Republicans want to destroy the country, I actually watch how I word that, to be honest with you. I want to be clear. Republicans don't want to destroy the country. They just want to make it as good as possible for them and their 1%. They want to make it as comfortable as possible for people who do not include or consider individuals who don't look like them, talk like them, worship the way they worship. They want to ensure that those people do not have the same privileges that they do. So it's not about destroying the country. I think we need to actually really change how we talk about that. Are they destroying the country, or more so the fabric of what it's supposed to be? Yes. But they very much want to make it better. It's just not going to be for certain demographics. That's all.
That's right, because we've seen the polling, because most Americans, 65, 70%, align with firearm regulations. With changing our firearm policy, most people agree with women's right to their body. Most people believe that the tax system's got to be changed, right? It's just because of the tribal nature of our politics, and the liberals have to push through that. Democrats have to push through that. We really do. The message, because the majority of people stand for things that Democrats and leftists and progressives on the left stand for. We just got to push through the noise somehow, some way.
6,000%. 6,000%. Manda, I'm not sure if you meant to come up. You kind of went to the immediate teacup. Are you there? Manda, I'll give you 10 seconds before I drop you down. Oh, you there, Amanda? Amanda, are you hearing us? I don't think she meant to request up.
What is that white thing?
Yeah, she didn't mean to request up. Appreciate you coming up, Amanda. No, I agree with you. It actually goes into third-party voting. So I think there are people here who heard what we just said and just thought to yourself, well, why do you think I vote for third party? Thank you guys for the follows. Why is my animation glitching again? It always keeps happening. There are people who heard everything we just said and go, well, yeah, that's exactly why we vote third party. People are not associated with any of the corporate shills and just want to do better for the people. And let me watch how I word this, because I have a whole lot of smoke for third party voters. I really do. I get the sentiment. Again, sentiment. Before I voted for Madam Vice President Kamala Harris last year, I fully intended to vote third party. That was my goal. I looked at the candidates, and it was an obvious no for Trump. I did enough deconstructing from MAGA to go, that's a terrible idea. But I wasn't thrilled about Biden. And this was before Kamala dropped out, to be completely honest with you. Saying the wild scenario where Joe Biden actually stayed through and through the entire race, I'd be lying if I didn't say I probably would have voted third party. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't argue against anyone who did at that point. If we actually let Joe Biden at that point run again, I think that would have been insane. But I was looking at him and I was like, I don't feel comfortable about that. So I was looking at third party. At this point in time, I was under the belief that third party couldn't get enough votes to potentially win, or at the bare minimum, hit that 5% threshold to get more funding. So I looked at Marianne Williamson. I thought Marianne Williamson had a great platform. I think she did a very good balance as a Jewish woman. She did a very good balance of advocating for Palestinian lives. She wanted to end occupation. She talked about a two-state solution, weapons embargo, so on and so forth, and then still respecting the civilian lives of the Jewish people, many of them who were protesting against Bibi Netanyahu and his genocidal tyranny. So that was where I was going to lean. And then upon doing some more due diligence, I was like, well, that's not enough. It's not going to work. And then if I vote this way, and me and other people think like me take that away from the candidate who actually has a chance in hell of winning, we're screwed. And now we're here. But I understand everyone who wants to vote third party, because that's your protest vote. That's your way to fight back against the administration and really shine a light on what we actually want, because the most progressive candidates, let's be real, are third party people. The problem with that is I'm what you would call a pragmatic progressive, which means I want a whole lot of shit. But I also understand that we are some time away from it. I also understand that if you give me a choice between this and that, and then one's going to get me closer to the progression that I want, I'm going to choose that closer option and look no further than the Democrats for that. I don't like it. I'm not asking anyone to like it, but let's be real. Few of the people that we have running off of Medicare for All, they're going to be on the Democratic side. The people who are talking about immigration reform, actual reform, are on the Democratic side. The people who are talking about, and this is not too many to be fair, but the more so the people are talking about tax to billionaires, reforming the tax code, they're going to be on the Democratic side. You've got Bernie's, your AOCs, to some degrees your Jasmine Crockett's, so on and so forth. So I'm going to vote with them.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I've become a bit more nihilistic progressive, but I'm a pragmatic progressive as well. I look at the Democratic Party as public transportation. It gets me 3/4 of the way to where I want to go, and I'm willing to walk the rest of the way to get to what I want.
I like that.
I think one of the, you know what I mean? I think the limitations on status quo Democrats, I'm not a big fan. I think I'm starting to see them paying attention more to the left within their party. So people like you and I, people like the progressive wing, because that's what the majority of Americans want. I'm sick and fucking tired of talking about continuing to extend the ACA. I want Medicare for all. I want my elected politicians to be talking about it. It's popular. It's a winnable campaign item. And I think that's been a surprise to me, that there's been so much adoption of much more progressive leaning policy. First of all, how amazing or how radical we are, Hector, to want healthcare for everyone and food and shelter and water. It's like, it's so freaking radical. But I think people are paying attention to that more now, and I think that's a winnable debate. That's a winnable campaign on that messaging. Affordability and healthcare, and we don't want people starving. Little shit like that. It's crazy. So radical.
I think to some degree, what's taking place with the ACA, with the removal of the subsidies and these Trump RX plans, I think that's really going to help move us further to Medicare for all.
Agreed. I agree.
I'm seeing a lot more people, even on the right, actually take a second look at it. We saw Republicans, four specifically, I think three of them was in Pennsylvania, one was in New York, who went and voted alongside Democrats for the discharge petition to force a vote on it. And that's a start, y'all. Because if you told me that a couple
Agreed.
years ago, or a couple months even, I would have been like, no, they're. Remember, it took John McCain to get the damn thing passed to begin with, and I was still very much based off the consensus we've seen from the right that a lot of them were just going, it's dead, it's gone, we can do better, even though they haven't presented any real plans. But to see enough of them go, I hate the ACA, but I have constituents I have to answer to when their premiums go up, I think that's one hell of a start to get us moving in the right direction.
I agree. I think those four people or three or four members of the Republican Party, I think that was for political convenience. Let's not kid ourselves. You know, they're in swing districts, obviously, and they're up for re-election, so they can go back to their swing districts and say, "Hey, listen, I voted for your ACA subsidies to continue, but I want progressives and the Democratic Party now that are in D.C. and down ballot progressives to be pushing on the party to say, if we could stop talking about the ACA right now if you guys campaign on a Medicare for all solution, because I think Americans would accept it. I think people see it. Even people on the right, even hardcore MAGA, are starting to see the fact that this healthcare thing is, first of all, it's a losing item for them.
Yes.
They've not been able to solve this. They've not, and they won't. So let's stop kicking the can down the road and just pass Medicare for all and make everybody's lives happier, to be honest.
Thank you, Dean. That's a good point. It's save it, not pass it. That's correct.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And actually, to your point, I want to be fully transparent. When it comes to, in some cases, even voting for some Democrats, it is very much about protecting them as well. It's all about protecting their seats, protecting their pockets. But we can also use that to our advantage. Let's be real. I would say half, if not more, at least, of the people on that side are ultimately there to serve their own interests, not their constituents, not the people. But that is something that we can use to say, hey, you like that seat you have, you like that pension, you like this, you like that, then we're going to need to see you talk about this more. I think that's what Chuck Schumer did. I think the reason why he got so loud about the shutdown and was like on the forefront of that was because his seat was at risk. In fact, Republicans pointed it out. It was like the only reason why he's now doing this is because next year he can lose his seat. I think they're correct. But we can still use those Democrats as well. And if not, vote them out.
Yeah, we have to, right? We have to. Just look at the elections across the country since last year. You've seen, flips in seats you would never expect. Your old state, you're from Georgia, right? Didn't you live there?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. So two public service board positions that have been owned by Republicans for like 25 or 30 years went to Democrats. I mean, that's a big sign. And because they're talking about affordability, because they're talking about health care, because they're talking about, the crazy authoritarian approach to our politics, this draws in non-voters, in my opinion, back to the topic, because this is going to be like, wow, there are people that are actually out there standing up for things for a change. People want to be drawn to vote for Democrats, but it's been like milquetoast. Yeah, I'm starting to see a fight, and I really like it, which is why I really worry about Jasmine in Texas. I hope she can win. I'm going to miss her voice in the House. I really am, because that was so powerful to hear her voice there. But it's that kind of energy that people want to see. It's easy to follow a leader when they're that vocal and when you see them fighting.
I agree with you. Into that debate, I've heard all sorts of really interesting takes about it. And I am a fan of James Tallarico. Those of you who are in Texas, the two people are running for that seat. And I think, so as it sits right now, people may not like this take. Let's be real. Tallarico has the advantage for being in the race the longest currently. He's going to have the advantage of being able to talk to a more broad variety of people, or at least the appearance of it. Because Jasmine Crockett can talk to anybody. I've seen the interviews. Sure. I've seen her out in the street. She can. But the humility of Tallarico, not to mention the way I've said this before again, the way he wears his faith on his sleeve. Texas is a religious state. It's a very religious state. So he's in the lead in that regard because he uses like the Bible and everything else, whether you believe it or not. He uses all that to speak to people and go, this is how we push for a better Texas. This is how we push for a better country. This is how we stop and get an arms embargo when it comes to Israel, even though Jasmine has elaborated on that too, so on and so forth. So that's what we want to see. People want to see something different. I think the more candidates, thank you guys for the followers. The more candidates, like what you said, that are running off of expanding the ACA that people already feel is too damn expensive and it hasn't been fully working for them, the more candidates that we have running off the same stuff that we've seen for the last couple elections, I think it's going to throw people off.
Agreed.
This isn't the greatest example because I've said this before. People who use Zoran Mamdani as an example to say, oh, he would win federally, you're nuts. You're insane. He won in New York. Let's be real. It was still an accomplishment, but it was New York. But he presented something different to where the white male progressives in the state, and there's studies done on this, the people who did not vote for Kamala Harris voted for him, even though they have like similar views, but he just presented it differently and it resonated with people. And that's what I think we need to see from the next candidate. In fact, I'll go ahead and ask you this, Fax, because I have my ideas as well. Some of them be a little strange. If you were to name, actually, really quick, let me do a PSA. Guys, let's get the likes up to past 100K. We've been live for about an hour and a half. There's 470 people in here. Make sure you're double tapping that screen. We can get the likes up to, screw it, we should be at 150. Double tap that screen like your fingers depend on it. Let's get the likes up to 150, and I think we can do so within the next 20 to 25 minutes. If you haven't sent your daily heartbeats, make sure you do so. Share the lives with your friends and family, and remember, this live is to have a conversation with non-voters. If you did not vote in the last election or any election, you have no intentions of voting in future elections, you're the people we want to speak to. We want to kind of pick your brain a bit and see if we can have some agreement, see if we can help educate you on some things. Maybe you can educate us on something that we're missing. This is your platform and your opportunity to do so. So you may request up in the box over here on the TikTok side. You may call in the number on the screen, 737-295-5321 over on the Tube side. What's going on, Tube? Make sure you guys like the stream over there. Hit that notification bell. Lets you know every time I'm live. We typically dual stream at the same time. Every time I'm live here, I'm live over there. And anyone who wants to send their thanks on that side, you may send a super chat or super sticker. Thank you, Mods, for posting Fax links in the bio. Make sure that you're hitting that up as well for those of you who want to support him and what he had to say. Okay, back to it. So if you were to give 3 things that you think the next Democratic candidate federally should absolutely run off of, what would they be? And I think I have an idea for at least what 2 of those things are, as you've mentioned. But if you'd give me 3 things, what would they be?
Well, so I'll answer that question with my marketing and promotions hat on that I built my career on. One of the things that made right-wing politics so effective was their 3-word slogans: "Stop the steal," "Lock her up," "Fuck Joe Biden." There's never really been a counter for Democrats. So I would say freedom, affordability, and safety.
I like that a lot because the way the right has co-opted and just owned those words bothers me. Even when we go back to the faith aspect, and again, I'm not religious anymore, but I still respect people who have deeply held faiths in their religions and are progressive. So it's the right positions themselves to be the party of faith, the party of Christianity, so on and so forth. But we know that's Christian nationalism. Another thing I like about Talarico, he debunks all that nonsense. So I think a lot of what Democrats need to do is not so much run from what the right is doing. They're just using it in a horrible way. We do need to embrace some of those things and those 3-word slogans. 8, we know that based off the yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Exactly.
Vague, vague, 3 words, not specifically talking about anything unless you tuned in and elaborated, but it drew enough people in. Even if they thought, yes, we can, they can do some hateful things. It appealed to people, and it worked very well. So I agree with that 100%. We don't need to run from some of the things that worked for the right. We just need to rebrand it.
Yeah, it's a tried and true method. Think about Nike's campaign, "Just Do It." There's "Where's the Beef" with Wendy's back in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, it's a proven tactic. It's really effective, and the right's done a better job. I mean, they got Donald Trump elected twice. They've done a better job of messaging. Keep it simple, keep it direct. They lean in with their hate. Obviously, that's not something we support, but there's no reason we can't take a page from that playbook, simplify things, speak to voters as opposed to at voters. That'd be a nice shift, right?
I
I mean, a
agree.
big mistake, a big criticism of the Biden administration was the way that the way they attempted to sell the economy message.
Mhm.
Yes, at the macro level, inflation was dropping, sure, no doubt about it, but it didn't resonate on kitchen tables, that's for sure. And Donald Trump and his team capitalized on that. And the ironic part about that, Hector, is that what the Trump team now is doing is they didn't take their own advice. They're saying affordability is a hoax.
Mhm.
You know, so it's like you give the playbook to the Democrats as to how to push back on it. No, affordability's not a hoax. Costs are up, people are in foreclosure, medical debt's rising, etc. Use their own playbook against them. And that's yes, I could be a petty ass bitch. Let's be petty.
I agree. I agree with all of that. So kind of going into one of the things you mentioned, which was actually reforming the tax code, because we keep seeing different tax bills being presented by either administration, and some are better than others, but it's not really addressing the root cause, which I think is another reason why those of us who are progressives and even non-voters also feel like there's no reason to participate or get frustrated, because it's like we have all these problems now, but we keep pushing for moving the needle. And I think that's getting very tiring for a lot of folks. Well, I understand it. And at the end of the day, a moving needle is better than a stale one, or better yet, one that's going backwards. It's not enough for more people. And that's why I think that we need to run off with something fresh, something new, something radical, something different come 2028. So one of the ideas I liked, as much as I fucking hate this word, I really, really, really hate this word, czar. We saw Mamdani utilize that with the mom and pop czar that he ran off of New York. I thought it was stupid, but it worked. People like the idea of a dedicated person in the form of a czar that is watching over and checking things. And we saw how much they utilize it against Kamala Harris when it came to the border. So I say, hey, we own that shit. And I think, let's be real, if it's not from some of the budgets we already have and reallocating things that we don't need into things that we do, to some degree, some ideas that we have are going to be marginal increases in taxes. Let's be real. For a lot of the things we want is going to involve some increased taxes. So it's hard to ask people to bring up their taxes when they already don't feel like their current taxpaying dollars are going where it needs to go. So I think, can you turn up Tube a bit? Am I low over there? Oh. It used to, there was an update on my mic. It used to be at one volume every time I turned it on, and now it starts at half, and I always forget to bring it up. It should be good now. Thank you for that, Way. Appreciate you. So I think the Democrats need to run off of a tax czar. You have someone who comes in and he goes, hey, we understand people are frustrated with their taxes. They feel like it's not going to the right place. We have one dedicated person who is over where your taxes go. And we post, like, maybe monthly, maybe weekly even, reports of our findings, showing you that this is being allocated here, showing you that your money is working here. Because at the bare minimum, if we can show people this is why we want your money, and this is exactly where it's going, and you'll be able to look and see that it's going where it's supposed to go, I think that would make a lot of people more comfortable with when we ask for pay 9% more in taxes, and then every time you go to the medical, every time you go to the ER, every time you go to, you know, an appointment, it's covered. And we can show you that it's covered. We can show you where the money's going. I think we need that because transparency is big for a lot of people. It won with the Trump administration. They lied. They ran off of transparency and lied their asses off. But it won with people. Waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste, fraud, and abuse. So if we have a tax czar, that's going to eliminate that. Or at the bare minimum, give the people the ability to call it out because now everything's going to be seen. So that is something that I've just been thinking about, and I like that. It'd be a dream to have anybody actually talk about it on the world stage.
Yeah, like affordability, accountability, and transparency. You could have a transparency czar. You could have an affordability czar. You could have an accountability czar. I love it. I love it.
Do all the czars. Yep. Everyone. Every single one.
All the czars. Everyone. More czars. Czars for everyone.
Exactly. And I like that you pointed out safety too, because I will say, and I have a take that a lot of people don't like, especially when it comes to the border. I do think Democrats lost.
God bless you.
And continue to lose when it comes to the perception of border security, when it comes to the perception of protecting Americans, because everyone just looks at us as soft. Everyone thinks that we just want to let everybody in. It couldn't be further from the truth, but that was the appearance that we gave. I do think that Biden failed significantly when it came to giving some of these people comfort with what took place in 2022. When you had the record high numbers of encounters and people coming over, they were looking for some action, and we were too busy trying to get things passed in Congress, and we know Congress is slow. So another thing I think we can learn from Trump is executive order the hell out of things. Executive order, executive order, executive order. I want to see more Democrats be comfortable with passing that executive order and then let the Supreme Court figure it out, because that's what Trump's been doing. Hell, that's what we saw Biden do when it came to student loan forgiveness. He just passed the executive order. He said, hey, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. And the Supreme Court and Republicans stepped in and said, no, that's too much. But then we still got some work done. We still have a couple million Americans whose burdens were just completely lifted because of that action. So fuck it. Play with that button. I'm fine with that.
Totally agree. All the things, whether it's statehood for D.C. or whether it's, Roe v. Wade is back under executive order from Maine to Alaska. I mean, seriously, I'm with you, man. That's the nihilistic side of me right there. Seriously, why not? If there's a positive, you know me well enough to know I'm always going to see the glass half full. So if there's a positive I can take from this Trump experience is what you just described. They pressure tested the system at every single point. Their pressure test is all about hatred and Christian nationalism and racism and bigotry and transphobia, etc. Let's flip the script and do things that will actually benefit people, but use the same mechanisms. I have no problem with that at all. No problem at all.
None whatsoever.
Give me more judges. Give me statehood for D.C. and Puerto Rico. Sign me the fuck up. Let's go.
I agree with that, especially considering, well, I do think to some degree, we get a lot more pushback than they have. I've said this before, because a lot of people have now, even some Republicans, because of Trump's executive orders, have then said, hey, maybe we need to take a second look at that. And pardons. Pardons is another thing I'm noticing more Republicans are going, yeah, I think we need to curb those powers.
Agreed.
In part, I don't like the reasons, but in part, Joe Biden brought a spotlight to it with some of the final pardons that he made in his last days in the office. Granted, it was to non-violent offenders. We went over a couple cases in a live a couple days ago when this guy brought it up. One of the individuals was a lady back in the 80s or 90s. She was physically abused for 17 years. Her husband was coming at her violently, smacking her around. She got tired of it. She grabbed we'll say butter knife. She grabbed a butter knife to kind of scare him off, and they were unfortunately intoxicated, and he ended up getting, So Biden commuted her sentence. He understood her situation and said, hey, we're going to go ahead and reduce this. You already served this much time. You were defending yourself. You had all this, trauma and abuse stuff. I will commute your sentence. That's a commute pardon, whatever. I have zero problems with whatsoever. But to the right, they just see pardons of criminals. They don't understand the nuance and the context. So from there, we started to see more people go, okay, now we need to look at these powers. And then in some cases with Trump, with the people he's pardoned, we've went over them in detail. Now everyone's going, yeah. So I think when it comes to executive orders, you're going to have a Democratic president. Let's say, and I hope it's not, to be honest. I think we can do better. But let's say Gavin Newsom. I think we can agree that Gavin Newsom is kind of one of the top looking contenders for 2028. One thing I will say, I do think, is that he is one of those people I could see being, hey, I want to do something, I'm going to use that executive order. I think I can see him doing that. And I feel like if it gets done, watch them all of a sudden start taking it to the Supreme Court. Watch some act get passed in 2029, 2030, significantly curbing the power of executive action when he passes one that says, slashing the DOD budget in half. Oh, yeah, they'll lose their mind. They will lose their minds if we ever got that done.
Yeah, it's a good point. And actually, I want to call out a comment from someone said about allow Puerto Rico to make that decision on their own. Very fair point. Yeah. Very, very fair. Very, 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 very fair point. But again, let's use the system. Obviously, what we see, there are cracks in the system, good or bad. But what the Trump administration, under the direction of Christian nationalists and billionaire technocrats, Peter Thiel, et cetera, they've pressure tested. every single turn they're going to find out they're going to try to come up with some wild ass legal claim about justification for overturning birthright citizenship or whatever it is. So if you want to continue to have people support your agenda, then show them that you're willing to fight for them and show them that you're willing to use the same tools that the previous administration did. And some of them are so far-fetched, I would agree. Obviously, the most successful movements that we've had in our nation have always been through bipartisan politics, whether it be civil rights or healthcare or infrastructure. It typically comes down to bipartisan support, which you kind of want.
Yeah.
But our country is so divided now, it's going to be hard to get it. So just lean in. And to be honest, I say fuck the filibuster. I've never liked it. Get rid of it.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. And as much as we may talk about bipartisanship, and I do understand that's important, at this point in time, some of these people are not going to get it. I think we're just going to have to drag them across the finish line of progressivism.
Yep.
Honestly.
Yep. And I think and then back to our topic, I think that would be appealing to non-voters.
Yes.
Showing there's people out there that are willing to fight. Okay, I can jump on board with that. Hopefully.
They want to see backbone. I've literally heard people say this. I don't agree with it, but I've heard them say it, and I get the point. When I look at Republicans, as disgusting as they may be or anything else, they are willing to fight for what they want, whereas Democrats are too busy talking. And that is a
strongly worded letters.
Strongly worded to whom it may concern, whereas Republicans are going, fuck you, fuck this, fuck that, we're doing it. And it's working. More people want to see that energy before the right things, which is another reason why we have to get rid of some of these establishment Democrats. We'll get back to that in a second. I do want to go over this comment here because you clearly are, I don't know what the fuck you've been this whole time. You have a problem with Biden pardoning nonviolent, but not Trump pardoning J6 rioters and schmurderers.
They missed the plot. I think they misunderstood.
Justin, be nice. Donald Trump ran off of pardoning these people since January 2021. The second it happened, he talked about how they needed to be pardoned. I have been pretty vocal, at least since end of 2023, about how stupid that was, even when I didn't vote. And then one of the reasons I voted against him was because I knew that was something that he would actually do. In fact, I'm not going to lie, guys. I didn't think he can pardon all of them. I actually thought he was just going to more so like look closer into the ones who allegedly were just standing around, bullshit, but whatever, and get some of those pardoned. If you told me that he would have had all 1,600 of them pardoned, I would have told you that's too far. And look where we're at now. And then we saw a week afterwards, one of them got unalived by a cop for acting the fuck up. We saw
and then child predators in that crew got repeat offenders. Yeah,
exactly. So
we know Susie Wiles from that Vanity Fair article that came out this week about how she said that was a mistake that he did that. So even people, even the adults in the room were like, "Listen, man, bad move." He did it anyway.
6,000%. How about Biden's pardon of Hunter back to 2014? Why? To cover up Hunter's biggest crimes. A pardon isn't a cover up. So there's that. I don't get the whining about Hunter Biden's pardon personally. Don't get me wrong. In a perfect world, that wouldn't have happened. I want to be clear on that. But if you're to ask me if I'm going to knock a father for pardoning his son, especially upon the next administration politically persecuting my family, trying to get my family, anyone who aligns himself with the left, I'd be damned if I said I wouldn't have considered doing it either.
Agreed.
I get why he did it. I don't like it, but I get why he did it. And mind you, we're talking about substances. And we're talking about, if I'm not mistaken, a firearm charge.
Tax charge, too. Yep, exactly.
Tax, yes, fair.
Yep.
When I look at J6, and I look at the people who assaulted officers, I look at the people who played a role in putting up that gallows, they still don't know who did it, saying, hang Mike Pence. when I look at the people who are smearing shit on the walls and cause millions of dollars in property damage that we had to foot the bill for, I care a lot more about that and those pardons than Hunter Biden's personal affairs. Just my
Totally agree.
opinion. And I'll also
Totally
take.
agree.
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, I think we could take an objective look at the presidential pardon power. Like, you know, what would that look like? Maybe capital crimes can't be pardoned. I mean, again, that's how we move society. It's really fucking low on the list of things that I want to fix.
Right.
You know, but I think it's something that we could objectively look at. I mean, nepotism, sure, we all, you know, there's nepotism. That's how it works. You're gonna get places because of your last name. Just that's part of life. It's not what you know, it's who you know. You know,
And it's crazy to me because it's one of those things where they'll desperately try to attach Biden to the presidency and presidential actions, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Hunter Biden could not be further from any of that outside of staying in the Oval Office, not the Oval Office, in the White House a couple times in the spare rooms. Because yes, your dad is the president of the United States, but he wasn't so involved in all of those business dealings. I've seen the arguments about, well, what about this thing with China, that thing with China? All this information is public on his dealings. And if we want to cry about alleged shell companies with China, please take a serious look at Trump. Please take a serious look at Trump. What are we doing? But any case, guys, once again, non-voters, request up in the box. You're the demographic of people that we want to speak to. I figured it would kind of go like this today, but I still think it's important to open up a space for you guys, because let's be real. Like I said, we've been doing too much of ignoring that 90 million number. So I'm going to attempt to do this more and see if we can reach those people. But it does seem like sometimes they are a bit more fearful and whatnot to talk about why they don't vote than the people who do, and that's okay. The purpose of this is to make a comfortable space for you to express your opinions and concerns and see if we can find some resolutions. I don't think they meant to request that. And if you're over on the Tube side, make sure you call in the number on screen. That's going to be 737-295-5321. That's okay, Angel. That's 737-295-5321. I do have a thank here. W's in the chat to Trish for the $5 for the dollar challenge. I appreciate you, Trish. W's in the chat to you. W's in the chat to you. Guys, this puts us up to 53 of the 150 goal. Best ways to support the platform is going to be the links in the bio. Hector Talks with 2 R's and Cash App and PayPal, and Venmo, PayPal, Hector or Pal with 2 O's and 2 R's. Also, make sure we take care of Fax as well. I haven't heard some thank yous from him in a bit. And let's get him up to 3,000 coins. Let's get him up to 3,000 coins. We got to take care of our co-hosts when they're there. Fax could be chilling on a beach somewhere, drinking a pina colada, listening to Careless Whispers. But instead, he's here hanging out with us, trying to get to talking to these people. So make sure we take good care of Fax while he's here as well. Let's get him up to 3K coins.
that's your theme song whenever you join my live. Nice try, my friend. Nice try.
You know what? I'm gonna find one. I have some ideas too.
No, I think it's Nahal or Nahal for your dollar because of the dollar drive. Thank you guys very, very much. I appreciate y'all. No, my daughter has her band has a gig tonight, so I'll be going to that in a little while.
Nice. Let's go. Yes, you did tell me when you have to run it. I get that, 100%. Yeah. What's gonna happen is I'm just gonna request up. I'm just gonna play this. Oh no, shoot! You do in the mornings. You do a stream on the Tube, right?
Yeah, on the Tube and Twitch.
Okay, so I'm not gonna play my song because it could get you a flag.
Yep.
Or I'm gonna only play 3 to 5 seconds. You get the gist of it from the 3 to 5 seconds.
Listen, if it gets really bad, my friend, you know what we have that's in my back pocket that I can play in your live anytime I want to. It's recorded for posterity purposes. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Chat, this is a lesson. This is a lesson. Everything you say on the internet, everything you do on the internet can be recorded and used against you in the court of facts, okay? Every single thing.
It's only because we love you, my friend. It's only because we love you.
I appreciate it. Oh, man. But no. Something I kind of breezed over earlier I wanted to get back to. One of the reasons that helped me decide to vote is essentially going back to taxes. I'm very big on taxes, and I have takes that the right fucking hates. So we recently had 17 ballot propositions here in Texas come November, with the majority of them being reduced taxes, cut taxes here, cut taxes there, cut taxes here, cut taxes there. And that's kind of what helped me with the tax czar thing that I talked about. Was so many people were not the most educated on what those tax cuts would do. All they read and saw was more money in your pocket. So, and that's what helped Trump. Trump's going, I'm going to cut your taxes to give you more money. And ultimately, no one's taking into consideration how those cut taxes right now looks good, but long term, it's screwing us. It is killing us.
God bless you.
Especially when we talk about here in Texas, a lot of our schools, or most states, are funded by taxes. They're actively trying to cut more taxes in school districts, property value, property taxes that goes towards schools, so on and so forth. So my thought process was, I am paying all this money in taxes. Why would I pay this and I don't have a choice?
God bless you.
But then I wouldn't utilize my voice and where that money goes. And that's what kills me about the non-voting thing, because to me, it's kind of a waste where someone is taking from you, you get no say in what happens with what they're taking. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I try to present it in that fashion to non-voters as well, which is like, whether you vote or not, you're still paying taxes. Federal, state income, you're paying all of those taxes. So why not have a say? Why not? I see y'all. W's to the Santana Raiders. W's to the Santana Raiders. I appreciate y'all. Let's go. Big W's to Santana. But I think that's something we should all be able to agree on. It's one of those things where you can't, unless you're maybe a sovereign citizen, you have to pay.
Don't even get me started. Yeah.
I can go on about that.
You know, you bring up a really good point. I mean, we talk about this in terms of just in general, the the focus that our country needs to have in education. And I think so many people don't understand what our taxes do and why we have to have them and what they pay for. People will just complain that we pay too much in taxes. And sure, we can have that conversation, right, objectively. But like the universal health care debate, right? Sure, people say, oh, my taxes will go up. Yeah, but you'll save thousands of dollars annually because you're not going to be spending it on premiums anymore, or co-pays and things like that. It's like, we want our taxes to work for us, right? Not for billionaires, not for corporations. We want it to work for us. I mean, I'm willing to pay in if I know I'm going to get more out of it, right?
The
people don't get that.
Trump administration teased the elimination of taxes and replacing it with tariff revenue, which to me is just a long-winded way of giving you a different form of a tax. And people people went with that. They ran with it. And I'm just like, we've seriously got to get a hold of educating people on. I live in Austin, Texas. There's a lot of like little taxes here, and it is because of Democrats. But mind you, when I do Uber and whatnot, I'm driving downtown Congress Avenue. Every single weekend, we have crazy nights here. All the bars, all the crazies come out, the college kids. And the bars, everything shuts down at 2 a.m. And then about 3 a.m. or 3:34, you see all these trucks come in. And the workers jumping off with their tools to grab trash, their vacuums. They're washing the streets. They're pressure washing everything, and they're keeping things clean. So I can look at some of the taxes on my bills and be like, damn, but then I know I can walk downtown Austin and have a good experience that doesn't feel like a shithole, because that's what my money is going towards, and I can see that happening in real time. So I agree with you 6,000%. We need to do a better review, we need to have a better message about taxes, because again, they're not going anywhere, and Republicans are continuing to win off of cutting them, whereas we can go, well, this is what happens when you cut them.
And I think that's another non-voter argument that we could make to non-voters to say, how do you see your tax dollars being spent? It's like a question we ask them.
Yes.
Well, I'd rather not pay them. Okay, well, that's not possible. How would you like to see them spent? Do you think we should continue to spend them for increases in the military budget? Or would you rather we spend it on health care? Do you want to have the best public schools in the country? Okay, if that's the case, then your property taxes might have to go up a little bit, but it's going to benefit everybody, not just your kids, but your kids' kids, and so on and so forth. It comes down to priorities. What do we want our nation to look like? Seriously.
Absolutely. Once again, W's to the Santana Raiders. I see y'all down there. Appreciate you. If for any reason that you see that follow button highlighted bright red, hit that follow button. Make sure you're following me. We are live randomly throughout the week and every single Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. And then Sundays for MAGA hunting. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. That's going to be a show. Thank you guys for the follows. And also, please make sure you follow my wonderful co-host, Facts Still Matter. He is live most weekdays in the morning, and then sometimes special editions. We had a special edition last night. You want to talk about that? Because I tuned in for a bit, and it was a great conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, the replay is up on my YouTube. The
Nice.
conversation was about breaking the red pill. Are men capable of loving themselves? It was a fantastic conversation. We had a lot of men that came up that were being vulnerable. I talk about red pilling a lot. I talk about media literacy and how the invasion or the infiltration of the red pill literally into the minds of young men, especially young white men. I think that there's something that we really have to pay attention to. Two things can be true. Yes, it's all men until it's no men, but our young men need some help. I think they really do. I think they really need some help. I think that they don't know this yet. It's going to require a lot of us, especially people, white dudes like me, since we've created the fucking system and we're the ones that are responsible for fixing it. The boys in your life, friends, parents out there, they need some help. And I hope that we can start to continue to have those conversations. We'll do it again. It was a pleasure to be joined by Ash and by Adi. We'll probably do a part 2 and a part 3 because there's so much more to talk about there.
There really is. That is something that really has no end time, if not for the fact that we have to eat, sleep, and shit and piss. There's so much to unpack there. And like I said, I told you when you mentioned it on your live, I was like, I'm so glad, because even myself, I used to have a couple lives touching on it a little bit. And I need to bring those back because politics aside, well, actually, I would say the issues that you talk about directly impacts politics and they hand to hand. But I am seeing a lot of men lost on these apps, and there needs to be more spaces talking about it, more spaces where they feel comfortable, even if they don't come up. Even this live today, we haven't had much people come up, but there are people still listening. There's a lot of people listening, and then the goal of this is, even if it's not this live, it could be the next, so on and so forth. I'm big on planting seeds. Everything I try to do is just to plant seeds. We can't always change somebody's mind on the fly. In fact, it's damn near impossible. But the important part is that knowing that you left a lasting impression that's going to make them think about it later on. Because that's what happened with me. It all started, I've talked about this, it all started with a stupid Facebook post that I made about the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. And my friend base on Facebook came for my ass. Ooh, they came for my ass. And it left an impression on me. I was like, why were they so mad? And it wasn't just, oh, they're stupid, they're this and that. It actually hit me, because some of these people I knew and loved dearly. I was like, well, maybe it's something that I said, what am I missing here from the equation? Then from there, that's where everything you see before you, the last year of politics for me started. It started with that one thing. So if we can give that to people without so much the aggression sometimes and the tit for tat, I think it's very important. But Cheryl, you there?
Preach.
Hi, Hector.
Hello. Did you vote?
Hi, Fax.
Hi, Cheryl.
Earlier you mentioned helping people to understand what their choices are, what they may be able to get for their taxes, what they pay in taxes. And one of the things that Harris had supported was proposing more money for people to be able to provide care for their elderly or disabled family members. And one of the largest lobbies in this country is the nursing home lobby. And nursing home lobbies, most of their money ends up coming from Medicaid. They're reimbursed by the government to basically, unfortunately, pay, and a lot of times for shoddy care for our loved ones, very poor staffing ratios. And whereas this would be an opportunity to take some of the money, some of the tax dollars available, and turn around and pay loved ones to be able to afford to stay at home and be the caregivers, so that they would be one-on-one, or kind of like one-on-one with their loved one, rather than 1 to 10 as far as caregivers go. And I just thought I think that's another thing too, to ask people you know, what would you want to see your tax dollars go toward? Medicaid, and I'm not slamming Medicaid.
Yes.
But I do slam Medicaid when it's used for nursing homes, especially when nursing homes are not required to meet the standards they should. So that's was my comment.
That is a interesting point. I will agree on you in the sense of if these institutions are getting federal dollars, and we know that nursing homes are often, many of them are in hot waters for abuse of elders, and
Right.
significant amounts of neglect. I do think there needs to be a bit more. And now this goes into the conversation about regulations and why I am pro regulation, and deregulation in specific aspects. It's because we need more rules to go. If you don't meet this criteria, if you don't do this, if you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't get this. And that in some cases, I hate it, but it's an incentive for people to do the right damn thing. There's a lot of individuals, a lot of corporations who don't actually care. We have to make them care about doing right by the people. Not everything is going to be a just love everybody scenario. Like, that doesn't work. We have evil people in this world, evil corporations with evil interests.
Right.
So I
That's
get
why
that
we
point.
need to be watched over. I did see a comment. It is Medicaid that pays for long-term nursing home placement. If somebody's in a nursing home just for rehab, for temporary stay, yes, Medicare does pay. But for long-term placement, it is Medicaid.
Okay, that I actually did not know. I'll look into that in a bit. Really quickly, W's in the chat to Justin over on the Tube side for the $5 super chat. Still for that shit you said to the racist dude on Steve's live the other day. Loving the show, huh? I don't remember this. I don't remember talking to a racist on Steve's live. Justin, I think you're talking about Santana. I think you're talking about that one guy on Santana's live. I think that's what you're talking
I
about.
heard about that famous. I think I heard about that famous quote that you dropped potentially.
What did I say?
I think something about maybe his mom should have made her better. Something along those lines. Without letting the cat out of the bag. That was you.
Damn it! What did he say? I'm trying to remember what he said specifically. Oh yeah, he was touting a bunch of nonsense, and Santana was over the conversation, so he invited me up and a couple other people, and then I said, I have a question for you, and he immediately went to like coming after me, said something about how I looked or whatever. It was weird, and then I'd asked my question, and then he just went on his ramble again about Biden this, Biden that. And he specifically mentioned the he mentioned the Afghanistan pullout. Yeah, the disaster that was Afghanistan pullout, and I said your dad should have pulled out.
That's what it was exactly. That's what it was.
And Santana was like, "Okay, thank you, Hector, for coming up."
Yeah,
It was-
that traveled in my Discord like wildfire.
That's
Everybody knew what Hector
hilarious.
said. We're like, oh yeah, it was funny. Yeah.
Because guys, okay. I think there's a lot of people also hate. Oop. Gonna mute you, and also we'll get into this person in a second. I think there's a lot of people who hate watch me and they don't come up because they've seen my crash outs. They've seen me go off on people. I want to remind everyone, and everyone who's watching me knows this, okay? I never start on 10, unless you're just a really shitty person. I always typically, even with some people really deserve it, start off cool, start off calm, start off civil. But it just takes the right fucking thing. And I'm like, okay, screw you, screw your whole family. You don't need to procreate. And when I got up, I asked him the question. The question was like, have you ever known someone? And I really wasn't trying to be shady, but I tried to do this with some people. I said, you ever known someone, because I think we all have this one friend, who just thinks they know a bunch about a bunch, and all they do is talk mess and talk crap and blah, 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 and they know nothing, and it's infuriating, especially if you're, thank you for the follows, especially if you're knowledgeable on the topic, because I think most people can agree we all know that person who just needs to shut the hell up about something because they don't know anything about it. So I asked him that, and his response was, I was about to make a comment about women, but I'll just leave that alone. So then I just said, you're a piece of shit. Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. Why would you pivot to women? Why would you make this a women issue? It's going along the lines of women being dumb and emotional, all this stuff. Like, fuck you. So yes, I went off. Like, some of these people don't deserve to be platformed. Anyway, Thank you for the follows, guys. Let's get the likes up to 200K. There's 626 of you in here. 626 of you in here. So not only should there be no reason for us not to be at 200K likes, better yet 300, 400K, but there's also no reason why we shouldn't have a non-voter up in the box, which we do have one, and I'm going to explain why I can't stand this person in a second. Non-voters request up in the box. You are the demographic of people that we want to have a conversation with. We want to know why. And then call in the number on screen if you're over on the tube side. That's going to be 737-295-5321. I had one more super chat to thank. W's in the chat to Miss Donna for the 5. This conversation is absolutely necessary. I appreciate you more than I can express. Keep doing what you're doing. Hail Hector. I don't like how that sounds, but I appreciate you. W's in the chat to Donna. W's in the chat to Donna. Guys, best ways to support the platform is going to be the links in the bio. Hector Talks with 2 R's on Cash App and Venmo, and Hector Pal with 2 O's and 2 R's on the PayPal. Make sure we're taking care of Facts Still Matter as well. Whether you send your coins here, he should be at 3K. He's not. Do better. Let's get Facts to 3K coins, or you may hit up his links as well. Best way to support the platform on the tube side is sending a super chat or a super sticker. Now, Diet Pepsi. Facts, I'm not sure if you remember Diet Pepsi.
I know Diet Pepsi. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to have you control this conversation, Diet Pepsi. I'm going to ask you some questions. Why did you request up? First, let's start with that. Why did you request up?
I was invited up.
You was invited up. Okay. Why did you accept that invite? W's to you, Cheryl, for dropping that Galaxy on Facts. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right. Why did you accept the invite?
If you're gonna be rude, I'm gonna just drop.
I just asked a question. I don't know what was rude about me asking you why you accepted the invite.
I don't know. You seem like you wanted to talk to me because I'm a non-voter.
Well, I didn't send the invite, but sure. Again, that's not getting into... Yeah, go ahead.
Diet Pepsi, you did say in the comment section, you said you're a proud non-voter. So why would you be proud of not participating in democracy is the question.
Because both candidates were unqualified and not worth my time.
Let's have a fun conversation about qualifications. But I see some interesting comments down there. Let me go ahead and elaborate on my, I guess, not much of an interest in what's taking place currently. So we've spoken to Diet Pepsi before. And the reason why I have a particular vitriol for that whole conversation and everything else is because he came up on this panel. I don't think. Chrissy, do you know you're up on this panel? I'm going to take that as a no. He came up and Diet Pepsi essentially lied to us. He lied to us about the reason why he didn't vote and tried to put forward a bunch of things that the average person can agree on, and we understood the frustrations, just to fall back on ultimately I'm just anti-abortion. Diet Pepsi is just anti-abortion. That was the crux of his argument. And despite that, we then went over the fact that Donald Trump didn't even run off of stopping abortion, anything of that nature, and then he never cared. So that's why I asked you the question that I asked you, Diet Pepsi, because you can sit here and cite the lack of qualifications, which is false, and all these different things, but really and truly, you don't care unless someone runs off of federally banning abortion, which will, I would argue, maybe never happen. And then you ignore every other issue that impacts your life, and you hyper-focus on the one that doesn't because you don't have a uterus. Why does that make sense to you, Diet Pepsi?
Because abortion is basically like the Holocaust, and we unalive 1 million babies a year.
Oh, man.
Do you get it now, chat? Because I saw some people make some interesting comments when I addressed them the way that I did. Do you fucking get it now? Do you get it now? I hope you guys get it now. Okay. Great. On behalf of the Jewish community, I want to apologize for what a stupid, fucking, ignorant, disgusting, insensitive comment that he just made, making a comparison of abortion to the unaliving of that community because of the likes of people who are sharing Hitler's rhetorics on the Republican Party today. That was fucking disgusting. Diet Pepsi, why aren't you ashamed to say this disgusting thing? Why can you say that with such confidence and not feel anything internally?
Because it's true.
Because it's true. I want to ask you a question,
mean,
Diet Pepsi. How many
We've had a lot more babies than Hitler did. Anyway,
Diet Pepsi, how many holes does a woman have below her waist?
3.
3. Wow, you're one of the few people who actually get that question. Awesome. What is the point of viability for a woman during pregnancy?
I see about 24 weeks.
About 24 weeks. Okay. And what is viability? Tell me what the point of viability is.
When the baby can survive outside the womb.
When the fetus develops into baby, that would be the point of viability, because then at the point of viability is when it would change from fetus to baby, and the law would protect that baby's life. And when does life begin?
The moment at conception.
And what kind of life is that?
It's life is alive. It's here in developing.
Okay, cool. Do you think it's immoral to pull the plug on people in comas for 30, 40, 50 years?
In a coma?
Uh-huh.
How is this analogous? Because babies are in the womb are not in comas.
Yeah, we're obviously not. It's analogous because it would be a life, correct? But it wouldn't be the life that we would say is the exact same, based off the fact that the brain activity, so on and so forth. That's the point. It's life, but it's not the life that we regard walking, talking, doing everything on a daily basis. So do you think it would be immoral to pull the plug on someone who's been in a coma for that amount of time?
No.
Why not?
You've never been alive.
Why not?
You can't come back from being brain alive. You're like literally like not coming back from to life.
Okay. So there's a certain level of brain activity that you would then say you would use to constitute life. That would make the alleged unaliving of said life moral, right?
Hector, I see that Kit's up here, and I have to jump anyway. I just wanted to thank you for letting me come up. I really appreciate that. You're a good man. Thanks for doing this. Let's do it again, okay?
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming up, guys. Make sure if you're not following Facts Matter that you do so. Once again, he is live typically every single morning. He'll tell you the hours in a second. So you check out his lives. Fantastic creator. Also, feel free to throw him some coins or hit up his links on his way out. We will absolutely do this again. Thank you for the follows, guys. I meant facts though. We will absolutely try to do this at a later date, and hopefully we can get some conversations going next time. But thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Live Monday through Friday, 8 till noon Eastern time. You can come by so we can pick on Hector with his amazing voice. You want to drop me, friend, so I don't have to so I don't kill the algorithm?
All right,
Good
guys.
to see you, Steve.
Guys.
Thank you, coming up.
Bye,
Thank
Kit.
you
See
so
you later.
much. Last thing I'll say, and then Kit's gonna handle this conversation. So based off a certain level of brain activity, you determine whether that life was worth being pulled or not. Yet for some reason, you don't understand the point of viability and how everything before that point would not be life as we call it or consider it under the Constitution. Go ahead, Kit.
Yeah, I'm just curious, Pepsi, because you seem to have this really deep held belief that somehow the atrocities that happen to my people somehow equates to the same thing as deciding to not go through with a pregnancy. And I want you to substantiate that, given all of the torture, trauma, and basically wiping out of an entire people based off ethnicity that we know took place, and you have the audacity to come up on a panel and make that comparison.
God bless you.
It's the same thing. You're saying because you look like this, your life isn't worthy because you're smooth you have no right to exist. It's the same principle, same thing.
That's what you just said.
It's not the same principle whatsoever. So these are sentient human beings with a life and a family, and they already were outside of the womb. They were functioning on their own. They weren't dependent on another human being to exist. So your argument is incorrect there, for one. And for two, I'm having a really difficult time still, because what are you ignoring? The torture, the things that Yahtzee scientists did to my people? Are you ignoring all of that to make this argument? Because it doesn't make sense to me when we can do something as simple as take a pill to stop a pregnancy. But you want to equate torture, torment, working people until they unalive to taking a pill to stop a pregnancy.
You realize that in this country, we probably unalive more babies in toilets than they
You're
did.
not answering. No. Stop now, because you're not answering what I said. How are you equating those things to taking a pill to stop a pregnancy?
Okay, the baby in the womb is a human being, just like the people that are being ushered into the gas chambers were human beings.
No,
But
no, because you just agreed on sentience at 24 weeks. You just agreed on viability at 24 weeks. There is no sentience before that because there's no brain activity. They are not experiencing anything.
yeah, they are. They're growing and developing. They're experiencing stuff in the womb.
They're not. They're not.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so we've already determined scientifically that when brain activity begins is around the 22 to 24 week mark. We've already established here, you established here, that a fetus cannot live outside the womb until that 24 week mark, maybe, and that's still a certain percentile. I'm not done. That's a certain percentile chance as is. So again, explain to me how you are equating torment, torture, and experimentation to taking a pill, which is how 98% of abortions happen. How are you equating those things? Because you did just absolutely disparage my entire community and generational trauma that we still carry to this day by equating it to taking a pill because someone doesn't want to go through with a pregnancy, which alters your body for the rest of your life.
Okay, they're both human rights violations. They are both against. They're both against people who are alive. What? I don't get why you're so defensive.
I'm upset because you decided to use my community in your mouth to try to say this is the same thing, Pepsi. That's why I'm upset. I have passion behind my community and what happened to them, and you're trying to equate this like it's the same damn thing. I'm also a mother. I know what it is to carry a child. I know what it is to have them cut out of me. And you want to act like, oh, people should just have to go through that? Absolutely not.
They're going to be a mother either way. They're either going to be a mother to a live baby.
No, oh my God, you're going to use that shitty ass argument. Dude, I'm going to really need you to answer the question you still haven't answered. How are you equating torment, torture, and experimenting on a whole group of people to taking a pill to stop a pregnancy?
You do realize that they've donated aborted babies to science, right? You do know that, right?
Fetal cells that don't have a nervous system and don't feel pain? Yes, I'm aware.
There you go. The same as that deal.
No, because Jewish human beings have a nervous system, can feel pain, can experience trauma. Nothing you're saying is making sense.
They experience pain in the womb as early as 7 weeks.
That's not.
I want
true.
to know. It's not, and I want to know again. Back to a question Hector asked you: how in the hell you're going to sit here and equate these things? Thank you so much, everybody who's gifted me. I deeply appreciate you. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Dad. How you're equating these things? Because again, you're taking an atrocity, someone who tried to wipe out an entire group of people based on hate, to someone not wanting to carry a fetus in their body because they don't want to go through with what pregnancy does. To this day, I have nerve pain in my spine. To this day, I have a black spot in my left eye from atypical migraines I was having when I was pregnant with my daughter that showed up as stroke-like symptoms, that they were that bad. You want someone to go through these things and potentially losing their life when they don't want to make that choice and you don't care. You're going to equate it to something that atrocious.
Made a choice when they had smacks.
No, I've been married to my husband for 10 years. We don't want another kid right now. Do I not get to be intimate with my husband of 10 years?
You do.
Okay, we don't want another kid right now.
You ever hear of adoption, or maybe your husband?
No, because I'm not getting cut open for someone else to have my child.
Kit, I will let
You would rather be selfish.
Kit, I will let you have fun with this for as long as you like, or we can get a pool started in the meantime. It's all up to you. Really quickly as well, guys, I figured out how to get the TikTok viewers and the chat on the tube side. So you guys can now see everything that's happening over here on the tube side, and I'm proud of myself. I just wanted to talk about that for a second. W's me. I'm going to adjust it a little bit more so it's more visible. But yes, go ahead, Kit.
I'd just like to say, Hector, thank you for inviting me up, and your page is gold, and I always listen to you, but I don't hop up a lot because no one needs to hear the amount of volatile diatribe that it can go on about people like you, Diet, that are a diabolically horrible human being when she's telling you her exact feelings and what she went through, and you're still sitting here dismissing it like she's not a human being, which is highly disingenuous, disrespectful, and it's just shitty as a person in general.
I don't.
Do you have daughters? Do you have a mom? Do you have a grandmother? Do you have family? Do you have women in your...
Thank you very much for coming up. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Go ahead, Kit.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. But yes, everything that person said, I agree with that. Also, you are just kind of just glossing over everything because you don't care, because it doesn't equate to what you want it to. You want it to be this awful thing, this negative thing, because you don't want to acknowledge that sometimes people don't want to go through a pregnancy and everything that a pregnancy can do to harm your body permanently. They are permanent changes. They do not go away. Your brain chemistry changes, your body changes, and it changes for the rest of your life. So whether or not you want to sit here and preach adoption, which I could go into with you about human trafficking and like all the things that adoption agencies do that are just not moral, for one. But let's also just sit here and really realize that we're talking about choosing to not go through with a pregnancy via choosing to have one and giving the child up for adoption. You're not listening to the not wanting to go through pregnancy part.
Because you don't want to go through that, you have a right to unalive a human being. That makes a lot of sense.
You're leaning on that word being heavily. The majority of scientists that believe the consensus that life begins at conception talk about life. They do not constitute said life as a human being. That clump of cells is a life form. It is human DNA. It is not a being as we would consider it today. So you really need to stop using that fucking word. Where's my call-in number here?
Right, because if we're really going to go there, then we could talk about the fact that I've had at least 4 different miscarriages outside of the children that I've had, because human bodies just naturally do that sometimes. So are you going to say that every single woman who's had a miscarriage or had an egg that didn't implant and just went through during their cycle is somehow, a schmurderer because the egg didn't stick, but it was fertilized? So that's human life, right?
Well, that was unintentional, though. It's just natural causes.
So intention matters here. So not wanting to be pregnant and being forced into pregnancy, which you do recognize that that's a human rights violation, right? Like nationally, globally, that is considered forced pregnancy is considered a human rights violation, which is what you are advocating for.
You can't force a biological process, so you cannot force pregnancy.
Right, and you can't consent to one either. So if you can't consent and you don't have full consent to said biological process, then why are we not letting people make the choice on said biological process?
And you can't consent to getting colds. You can't consent to getting a flu. It's a biological process.
But you can consent to continuing that pregnancy and going through all of the changes and pain and agony that that pregnancy can cause you. That's what you can consent to. That's what I consented to. I went through hell with both of my pregnancies. I hated both of them with all of my heart, but I was 110% committed to the end result. If someone is not, you are causing more children into foster care systems who are going to be abused there, or children born to abusive parents who never wanted them in the first place. And you're not considering the children. You're just considering whether or not a fetus is taken to term.
You do realize that this has nothing to do with foster care, right? There's a thing called domestic infant adoption. It was there were too many people waiting on the adoption list.
You realize that all of those people typically want babies, right? So those teenagers, those older kids, they get shoved into the foster care system. And a lot of the time, more than we would like to imagine, they are abused. They are harmed.
A lot of them kids aren't even eligible for adoption. They're there because their parents need help and they're just there temporarily.
That is, you've never truly looked into this, have you? You're so dead set on this idea that you just have not even looked into what you're calling possibilities are.
Thank you for the follows.
Because if you were, you wouldn't be sitting here advocating for these systems where children are abused.
I'm not advocating for foster care. Foster care has nothing to do with abortion or anything.
It does, because when those parents end up being abusive because they never wanted to have a kid and they were forced into it, where do you think that child is going to end up, Pepsi?
Or if the kid isn't adopted at birth.
Yeah, go ahead, Linz. You can have a moment. I need a break.
Okay, so I wanted to come at this at a different perspective, Pepsi. So here's the whole thing, right? How do you feel about women unaliving because of these abortion bans?
Can you name me one woman who has?
No, sir. It's been many. Okay, you're probably hearing about the recent case in Texas, where a woman came into the ER. She was having issues. She ended up being septic, but she wasn't super septic. She was just at the beginning stages, and it was from an infection in her uterus caused by the baby, who still had a heartbeat. They could not remove the source of infection. They tried to treat the sepsis with antibiotics, but because they could not remove the source of infection, the sepsis got worse. And by the time the baby's heartbeat stopped and they could take her to the OR, her sepsis was so severe that she did not survive the surgery.
Really quickly,
Now, that is not-
hold on. Apparently, is the live glitching on the Tickety Tuck side?
A little lag.
Hold on.
On the
A little lag.
Are we good now?
It seems a little smoother.
Audio's in and out. Hold on a second. It should be good now. Also, really quickly, W's in the chat to Susanna for the $20 super chat on the tube side. Men like Diet Pepsi will forever minimize the harm they cause to women. If they have to use false equivalencies, strawman arguments, all the way up to violence, they will do it and not think twice. 6,000 fucking %. Can we get some big W's in the chat to Susanna? Big W's in the chat to Susanna for your donation. I appreciate your support. I don't see the point in engaging in this, but yeah, I'm gonna let the ladies and femme-presented people handle it. Go ahead, nurse.
So I personally had a patient. This was probably a month ago. So I deal with several states in my job. I can't tell you specifically what I do, but they came to us for a second opinion. What had happened was this person presented to the ER with a history of ectopic pregnancies, bleeding and cramping, and the doctor didn't do the basic standard of care, which would have been an ultrasound, and he cited it was because of the abortion bans, and there was abortion bans in that state. She came to us for a second opinion. We said, go back to a different hospital.
I see the glitches. God damn it. Hold on. Let me do this.
Hold on, I'm waiting for Asher to fix it.
Keep going. I'm trying to figure out how to adjust it. Don't tell me it's the tube thing I added that's messing it up. Because they're saying it's a sound issue.
Yeah, and
hold on. Feel a little better now?
If it's better, because everybody's asking me to repeat.
Where are we at now? Flagging because the sound issue. It's got to be TikTok. Yeah, because Tube is fine. I'm watching on the Tube. Tube is perfectly fine. Better. It's good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just going to repeat for what everybody said. I had a patient about a month ago. I deal with several states. So the state I personally live in does not have an abortion ban. In fact, abortion is protected. But another state that I deal with does. So the patient came to us for a second opinion, history of ectopic pregnancies, went to the ER with bleeding and cramping at about 5 weeks. And the doctor cited that he could not do an ultrasound because of the abortion ban in that state, which is absolute BS, and I hope she sues him for malpractice. And I'll get to why in a minute. But the thing is, so she went to we told her, go to another hospital because you need to be seen in person, and we do telephone work. We do telehealth, and get a second opinion. And so she did, and her fallopian tube had began to rupture, which can result in death. The last patient I had this happen to, I gave him like so much blood, I was wondering if we were going to run out. That's how much blood I had to transfuse with that patient. Anyways, what happened was it started to rupture. They rushed her into surgery. She lost her fallopian tube. Now she has a previous history of ectopic pregnancies. Thankfully, they caught the last one early and were able to get rid of it with the pill. And so she still has one. Had they not been successful, or in the likely chance that maybe she wants children, tries to get pregnant again, and this happens to her again, and she could lose her other fallopian tube, and then the only way she will ever get pregnant is through IVF, okay, which is very expensive, and not everybody can afford that. So essentially, it could affect future fertility, and it could unalive her. Now, is this a case of malpractice? Absolutely, 100%. But here's the thing. Doctors and nurses hold malpractice insurance, right? So my patient can unalive because I didn't do the right thing and I have insurance to cover me. If I go and violate the law, I will go to jail. Do you see why I might let someone unalive? Because I am covered and not do the right thing? Because I could face jail time. It's horrible. But it's how it is. And because these laws are vague, they're horrible, they're not made by medical professionals, women are unaliving, women are losing their fertility, doctors are moving out of states where there's bans because they are afraid to practice and go to jail, and they're not willing to let their patients unalive. Places in Texas, I've heard some of the people who live in Texas say they have to travel 4 to 6 hours to go to a GYN for their yearly exam. That is ridiculous. I have to travel 5 minutes in my blue state. 5 minutes. And I got options. I could travel 5 minutes in the other direction and go to a different GYN.
Also, he asked for a name, Amber Nicole Thurman.
Yeah. There was a more recent case as well that was very similar to hers.
Very. Like literally 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, it was very recent, and it was almost the exact same situation. And the thing is, do the hospitals have legal departments to consult on issues like this? Absolutely. But God forbid it's a weekend. They're not getting back to them in time for the patient to survive. I mean, you can be pro-life without interfering on healthcare. Do you understand what I mean? In your situation, in your life, you can be pro-life. You can share your beliefs without forcing it onto other people who might have to make this difficult decision, and without forcing it onto legislation, which is now hurting women everywhere. People are going to end up in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when they do studies back on this, because of the decreased GYN providers in these areas, I am sure you will also see an increase in cancer in these areas, because GYNs perform yearly, depends on what your recommendation is, they do cervical cancer screenings. If women don't have these providers available, 5 to 10 years from now, we are going to see an increase in GYN cancers. So you can say you're pro-life, but you're not pro-life for the women that are trying to carry babies, have babies, and even those that maybe don't want them but just want to be able to, you know, if you're for birth control, these women can't go access birth control because they don't have GYNs near them.
What do you have to say to that, Diet?
Nicole Thurman, she was from Georgia, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking of the person they turned into an incubator, who passed away essentially, and they kept her on life support to incubate a baby. And the sad thing is that's not the first time that's ever been done. That's the first time the baby has survived.
That's a different case, nurse.
Oh, I know it's a different case, but that's my point. Is he's confusing the case? He thought there was one case. There isn't one case. There's many cases of this.
Nevaeh Crane, Candy Miller.
You do realize that one case, the Thurman case, was because she took abortion pills, right?
And the other case that was 2 months ago was because she didn't take an abortion pill. The baby was still alive. She had an infection in her uterus and went to the doctor. My patient who almost unalive, I don't even know if she wanted children or not. Really not my, as an emergency room nurse, not really my forte to ask, did you want the baby? But the truth is, if she did want children, she might now have a more difficult time getting pregnant because she's missing a fallopian tube.
Also, let me make sure I clear up some misinformation. She didn't get the proper care that she needed when she went to the doctor because of that abortion pill, based off of their loose legislations on how they were supposed to address the issue. They were doing everything in their power to protect the fucking fetus over her life, and the delay in that care is directly what led into her death.
That's not true, but
Literally is.
It absolutely is.
The abortion bill got her in the hospital room, and then the lack of care that she got, the proper care, what she needed, is what led to her death in the hospital.
Because I believe it was a stroke or something like that, or an aneurysm or something. I can't remember what actually took her out. But it could have been resolved with a CT scan. But in order to do a CT scan on a person who is pregnant, you have to then go through very specific criteria and decide if the risks outweigh the benefits. Again, could it be medical malpractice? Absolutely. Will her family get a lawyer? A lawyer should have volunteered to take the case, because honestly, it would have been a slam dunk for medical malpractice, because her unaliving for the potential complications was pretty high.
I want to, Linz, if I may, really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to not skip over the fact that he's basically like, well, she took an abortion pill, therefore she deserved to lose her life. Like, that's basically what just happened. He's like, well, because she did this anyway. That's then what was that? What was that excuse? Oh, well, she did this, so whatever.
She did take the abortion pill, and that's what unalived her was taking the abortion pill.
No. What unalived her was she went septic because she still had a pregnancy matter in her uterus, and the doctors would not help her because there was still some semblance of a heartbeat. So they let her go septic and lose her life because of the laws now in place, Pepsi. That's what happened. It wasn't because of the pill.
There's another case where she did not take it. She did not take the abortion pill. She would plan to keep the pregnancy, and she presented because she was starting to have the signs of sepsis and fever, not feeling well. She went to the hospital, and they took some blood and saw that she had an elevated white blood cell count, probably an elevated lactic acid. We're getting down to the details here, irrelevant, but they thought she was starting to get sepsis. There was another one besides Adriana Smith. Guys, there was a more recent one that was
several.
Like
There's been several since the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Can I say one more, and then I actually got to drop for a little bit so I can recharge my phone, and I'm done with this asshat anyway. But Nevaeh Crane, you want to talk about women who Nevaeh Crane was 18. She was actually pro-life. She was in Texas. She started miscarrying and bleeding out. She went to 3 different emergency rooms, none of which would touch her because of the overturning of Roe. She wanted that baby, but they let her bleed out until she was also going septic. And then by the time she did find a doctor that would try to care for her, it was too late. She was 18. Excuse that. Hector, you can go ahead and drop me so I can charge up my phone a bit. Love y'all. Bye.
Thank you, kid, for coming up. Rusty, what do you got?
I just had 2 quick questions for Diet Pepsi and then a proposition. So you've already stated that you believe that a little congregated group of cells at the point of conception is a separate human being. So let's accept that. Okay? Is your position on abortion scientifically based or religiously based?
Scientific and religious.
So you're saying both?
Yes.
Okay. Do you agree that based on your position that a woman should be forced to carry a child to term against her will, even though it is a separate human being, thus sacrificing her body? She should be forced to carry that child to term because she is the only one who can keep that person alive.
Guys, knock down these let 'em cooks up here, please. We got about halfway to go.
Well, yes, because parents are obligated to their children's
Hold on. Let's just say yes or no. Would you agree that any woman who is impregnated, whether she wants to be pregnant or not, should be forced to carry that child to term, that separate human being, to term because she is the only person who can keep that child alive?
I'll just go ahead and say yes.
Okay, so here's my proposition. Let's assume for argument's sake that it is determined that you are the only person who can keep me alive by donating your kidney to me. Should the state force you to give me that kidney?
That's not even analogous to pregnancy.
It's 100% analogous based on the questions I asked you. You are the only person who can keep me, a separate human being, alive by sacrificing your body. Should you be forced by the state to keep me alive?
You're not my child, though.
That's not my question. That wasn't part of the proposition. I am a separate human being, as is any child. A fetus, a child, is separate from a parent. They are not the same person. It doesn't matter if it's their child or not. It is a separate human being. You are the only human being who can keep me alive by sacrificing your body. You should be forced to do it by the state, correct?
No, because you're not.
Stop. No, you just said no.
It's
Therefore,
I'm done with this conversation.
Therefore, okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm done. I let it go on too long.
I've used that analogy a few times with these guys.
No, I kicked him.
They don't listen.
He didn't run. I kicked him.
I've only had a couple. Yeah, I've only had a couple stop and go, oh wait, I didn't think about it that way. It's rare, but it does happen.
I don't think he had the mental capacity to understand my argument. I don't know if you saw me make this argument the other day with, I sent you that link for the MAGA hunting, and I made the argument, and I told him later, I was like, I don't think you won that, the abortion argument. And he goes, at least let me live in the delusion that I did.
I just think it's ridiculous.
Good Lord.
So once again, we have a couple more minutes left in the live. Do me a favor. Let's do a couple things. Let's get the likes up to 250K. Send your daily heartbeats if you haven't already. Continue to tap the screen. Let's knock out these little live goals that we have. And the best way to support this platform. Thank you to Kit. Thank you to you, Nurse. Thank you, Rusty. I couldn't take that anymore. I let it go on too long. Best way to support the platform is going to be the links in the bio. Those of you want to help us knock down this gift goal.
I just came up.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just came up because I saw Fax was in here. Fax and I are friends, and I haven't had enough coffee today, so I figured I needed a little adrenaline, and that kind of helped. But I actually am now going in to face the mall on the last weekend before Christmas, so I needed the adrenaline. But feel free to drop me.
Got you. Appreciate you coming up.
I was going to say something
Yeah.
real quick before I dropped. But I was going to say my whole reason for changing the way I've argued this is because I can't change a pro-lifer's mind to not be pro-life. A lot of the times that is deeply ingrained. But what I can do is potentially make these laws easier for us to provide care and to get legislators to potentially rewrite the laws so that we can get OGYNs back into the state of Texas to do cancer screening, to take care of pregnant women. And if, we make it better, then one day, maybe when we get the right people in office, we can get Roe versus Wade codified into law. But until then, let's save women's lives.
I don't disagree with you. Thank you very much, Linz, for coming up and explaining that. I too agree with you. There is no changing pro-lifers' minds. I don't know how the fuck you can argue with someone about your sky daddy and every single life form being the exact same. I don't know how you can argue that with someone. What I do know is that you don't get to determine based off your religion, your personal preferences, what other people fucking do. And I don't, it's stupid. It's stupid, but I appreciate you coming up. And then it's a whole nother thing. This is, I don't know who invited him. I'm not mad at y'all or whatever, but I saw him in the comments. I didn't invite him for a reason. We spoke to him before. He's a waste of time. It's just people who fall back on these really stupid fucking arguments and things that ultimately do not impact them. Men keep arguing things that don't impact them. So many people do that. And it's like, for what? For what? Oh, you hate abortion? You think it's murder? Okay, cool. Hey, your taxes are still fucked. Unemployment's still high. Your benefits are still being cut. What the fuck are we talking about? What are we doing? We have so many other issues, but you want to hyper-focus on that one thing and use that excuse to sit your... We have a couple minutes left. If by any chance there is someone in this chat who is a non-voter, you feel like your vote doesn't matter, you feel like your concerns aren't heard, maybe you want to be like this fucker and impose your will onto everyone. Until you see a candidate that chooses to disregard everyone's rights, you won't vote. This is the conversation for you. Request up in the box. You are the demographic of people that I want to have a conversation with. If you're over on the tube side, you may call in the number on screen, and that is going to be 737-295-5321. That's 737-295-5321. Guys, with a couple more minutes left on the live, let's see if we can get this goal knocked down a little bit. We're over halfway of our goal, 83 of 150. Best ways to support the platform is going to be the links in the bio. I would love if we can get that up to at least 100. Make sure you continue to tap the screen, do all the other good things, and let's see if we can get somebody up in here. We are going to be running this live a bit more. Like I said, I want to see more of a shift from many creators, from MAGA and Trump supporters to the people that we can actually get to show up to the polls in the midterms. Thank you so much, Shauna, for your gifts. So we're going to try and run this a bit more, but at the same time, it does seem to be not exactly the best motivator to get people in the box, but I'm perfectly fine with that. Like I said, without these spaces existing for them to speak, they're not going to speak. So even if we sat here for the most part, we didn't get to talk to anyone, hey, I'm glad that we still did it anyway. And at the end of the day, there are people listening in the comments, and that's the important part. That is the important part. I don't know who this person is, but I'm in the right mood now to check people. So whatever your comment is about, fuck you, get up in the box. I don't know what the fuck else to tell you. Shut up in the chat. Fuck off. Anyways, do all the good things. But yeah, big W's to Facts for appearing. Big W's to Facts for appearing. I talked about him in depth. He's probably my top 5 favorite creators on this app. And I don't typically have a lot of favorites. I hate most creators on this app. I'm exaggerating. I don't hate most creators. I dislike a lot of creators and how they go about talking to the people. But Facts will do it in a way that's really well received by people who even vehemently disagree with him, unless you're just a straight up bigot. He's a fantastic creator. So big W's to him for showing up. Make sure you're following him. Facts Still Matter and his backup. He is live weekdays and then randomly throughout the night. You'll often see him on MAGA panels. Y'all know me. I only do MAGA hunting on Sundays, because that's what it would take for me to willingly go into MAGA panels. I would have to be streaming it for myself and getting fucking paid. That's the only way. He does that shit along with other people just for the sake of conversation, maybe for sport. W's to him. He's a better man than me. Yeah. Do you hate your best friend Dan from Brett's Lives? Are we talking about Dan Malik? No, when I say I hate most creators' lives, I obviously wouldn't include the people that I praised on this platform. There's a lot of I've talked about this before. There's a lot of ways people go about these lives that I think is harmful to the movement. For example, there are people who host these lives just to be emotional little crybabies and beat down on everyone they don't like. I don't think that's helpful at all. I've literally seen creators on this app go after people who come up and have genuine conversations with folks and actually just want to learn things. It's the most annoying fucking thing in the world, scrolling into a live and just listening to someone screaming and shouting for no goddamn reason. Some of y'all need to get on some meds or some ashwagandha and stop hosting lives. That's my opinion on that. Don't get me wrong. I am pro when you have a despicable human being up on that panel, have your fun. Have your fun. I am more concerned with some of the spaces that I see that do not leave room for conversation. They don't leave room for common ground. Those are the ones that I think are doing more harm than good. And like I said, I do think to some degree the consistent bashing on Trump isn't helping us overall. I think we need to focus more on deconstruction. We need to focus more on getting people to vote. We need to focus more on building some type of bridge with the people now more than ever that are disenfranchised with the Trump and his administration. Like they feel left out. They're frustrated at the things that he's doing. I think now's a better time than any to see if we can reach some of them. But more so, like I said, the purpose of this live is to get the 90 fucking million who's sitting out here confused. So there's that. There's that. Yeah, I shouldn't have let that guy up because now I'm in a mood. I shouldn't have let him up because now I'm in a... Oh, I didn't let him up. Someone invited him. But yeah, he's actually... I need to just perma block him because that was stupid. That was fucking stupid. Thank you guys for the Let 'em Cook gifts. I appreciate you. We're almost done knocking those out. And thank you for tapping. Like I said, let's get up to 250K. It's 5:54. I'm going to wrap up in about 6 minutes. We're going to try this again. I don't know. When are we going to try this again? We'll try another day. I don't know when, but we're going to try this another day. Like I said, I have to talk about, or I have to be about what I talk about, and I really believe we need to do a better job at reaching non-voters. So we're going to push through this mess, and we can see if we can get to talking to some people. Whether it's on TikTok or the call-in number, we're going to fucking do it. We are going to fucking do it one way or another, and that'll be the start. With that being said, the conversation last night about the used cars and Trump accounts was insane. Used cars and Trump accounts. Oh, Erica's panel? Yes. Yeah, that was, that raised my blood pressure. Yeah. I don't know. There's some people who've made their entire life about sucking Trump off. I don't know. I don't see the point in going back and forth with them. Let me shut up. I'll leave the rest of those opinions to my damn self. But yeah, that was stupid because he kept saying shit and then Erica would correct him or then respond to the shit that he said, and then he'd be like, look, you don't know anything because you said this, and like, we said this because you said this. We're only responding to what you said. And she did that with the guy before. I don't know how much you were watching, or am I mixing up my days? The fucker who came up and said he's racist. You guys remember that? The fucker who came up and said he's racist. He was like, yes, I'm inherently racist because I'm white. And then she was like, okay. He was like, okay, do you think I'm racist because I'm white? Like, do you think you're racist? You're the only opinion that matters. Like, Erica cooked that fucker. Erica cooked him so damn good. And he didn't even realize it. It was funny. If you really, you could just let them talk. You could just sit back and let them talk, and they incriminate themselves. And the sad part is that he had all this audacity. He was bragging about, oh yeah, I'm a tube streamer. This is my, I don't know, random account. I'm live on the tube right now streaming this to people. I'm like, imagine being proud of streaming yourself get fucking cooked. Imagine being proud of streaming yourself getting cooked. That shit was embarrassing for him. Because Erica was just like, go ahead. And he did all the talking. He damned himself and then left. That was fucking funny. I think she needs to clip that. Is Erica here? Erica? Yes, she is. Clip that shit. Please clip that. That was gold. I need to get back to clipping longer segments of conversations that I have and uploading it to the tube. It's been a minute since we've done that, and I have a couple good ones That man was ridiculous. But yeah, it's always something. It's always something. All right, guys, a couple more minutes before we wrap this up here. Erica, when are you going live? When are you going live? Is it going to be in time for a raid? What are we doing? Let me see. Let me see what she's up to. Because if she's not going to be live, we'll find somebody to raid in a moment. And then you both started doing the math. Yeah. We know they're not good at math. How do I say your name? Because I was going to say LeBron, and clearly that can't be correct. Lebrian? Lebrian, is that how I say your name? Somebody let me know how to say your name. In 1.5 to 2 hours? Okay, never mind. We'll find somebody else to raid in a bit. Can we get to 250K before we end? Where are my super tappers at? The fact that we've been live for in 4 minutes, 3 hours, and we're not at 300K likes. Y'all know my rule. 100,000 likes every hour, okay? And we had about 700 people in here for a moment. Y'all lazy today. And I haven't been bullying you because I've been being nice. Libren? Like Libra with a grin. Librin. Is it Librin or Lebrin? I'm going to say Librin because you put 2 E's. Librin. Okay. Librin, got you. Black people have some interesting names. We have some fascinating names. Nobody can say we're common with our names, bro. You ain't never heard our shit. You ain't never seen our shit. We're not Dan's and Chris and Jack. Our names are one of a kind. I fucking love black people so much. I love black people so much. I had something else I wanted to talk about. Oh, yes. Guys, make sure you're checking out the links in the bio for the other social media platforms. We're trying to get the, I can't say that, Gram. We're trying to get the Gram moving, okay? So make sure you go over there and follow me. The link is in that link tree in the bio on the Tickety Talk. The shirt that you see before you, there's a piece of merch from our shop. Make sure you get that off the TikTok shop or some of the other collections that we have. We do have the Tube, which we are dual streaming to. Make sure you're subscribed over there. Same name, Hector Talks with 2 R's. Join the Discord. I did fix that link last night, so it is available for everyone who wants to join. We are 548 members strong. I'm trying to get that up to 600 for 2026. That would be dope if we get to 600 by 2026. January 21st makes a year since I've ran that damn thing, and it's been a while. I appreciate every last one of you. We did switch over our subscriptions to the Discord server. So we're not doing super fans over here anymore. You can subscribe. I can't stop you. I appreciate it, but I would really wish you didn't because super fan is trash. You get all the same perks and more over on the Discord side. So make sure you join and subscribe. If you have an Android, I have to send you a different link. But yeah, all of those things are available in the links in the link tree in the bio on the Tickety Talk. Greatly appreciate everyone for what you've done so far. I am going to wait. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit 250 before we end. We're going to hit 250K likes before we end. Thank you, Gucci, for tapping even though you're at work. Gucci is tapping while she's at work. What are y'all doing? Let's get up to 250K likes before we wrap up. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a moment to do some friendly time. Anyone who wants to come up and recap, share some news, talk about whatever, you may come up now in the couple minutes that we're waiting for 250K. Before we wrap it up, I am going to go take me a shower, and I think I want a cup of chai. I may make me another cup of chai. Guys, I have so it's a recent obsession that I've had. A couple, like 2-3 years ago, I was introduced to a dirty chai, okay? And I had it at a popular breakfast chain here called Snooze Eatery, breakfast and lunch. And I had a dirty chai with ginger in it. And it was half spicy. And I've been obsessed since. So a couple weeks back, Discord isn't working. I literally just fixed the link. What is it saying? What is it saying? I thought I fixed that last night. Also, if for some reason it's giving you issues in the TikTok browser, try opening it up in your own. So if you click on the dots in the top right corner, when you see the invite, open it up in your own if it's giving you issues. Because I literally just fixed this link. If I have more people say it's broken, then it's broken. But some of you guys just have glitchy phones. But yeah, love Snooze. Oh, you've had it, Gucci. That's my spot. That's my breakfast spot. On top of Paperboy, those of you who are familiar with Austin. So a couple weeks back, I had some time on my hands. I was sitting down. I was like, I think I'm going to make me a dirty chai. and I've almost perfected my recipe for a dirty chai. Okay, I'm not even gonna tell y'all what it is, just in case I decide to make Hector chais. Okay, Hector chais with 2 R's. New business starting soon. Okay. But I started making this dirty chai, and I've been obsessed with it since, bro. I make this shit every morning, and then I'll drink my cup, and I want another. And then moments like right now, I'm like, I can use a dirty chai right now. It borderline may I won't say replace my bobas. I'm a sucker for my bobas, but it's right up there. Like bobas here, and it's like right here. Dirty chais are fantastic. If you haven't had one, try it. If you haven't had a dirty chai, try it. Or better yet, now I make it. So there's that. Do you drink milk boba? I change out the milk. I don't do dairy. So I'll typically do soy milk or oat milk. But yes, I've tried a couple milk bobas. I just had a peach one the other day. It wasn't as good as some of the other ones I've tried, but it was good. It was good. Also, do we try iced dirty chai with boba? There are chai bobas. I've never seen. I'm pretty sure it exists somewhere, but I can say around here. Ginger. I don't like the sound of ginger smoothie, Shada. I mean, I'm sure it'll be good, but ginger smoothie is crazy. I'm pretty sure there are dirty chais out there. I've never seen with boba, but I haven't seen any in Austin. I would have to make that. But that sounds good. Chai whiskey? Sir, you're an alcoholic. You're an alcoholic confirmed. What the fuck you talking about? What possible reason would you have to put whiskey and chai together? You're an alcoholic. I hope you know that. Congratulations, you snitched on yourself. Congratulations, you snitched on yourself. You're an alcoholic. It's confirmed. Oh, I meant yes. I swear it's gonna be the 23rd or 25th, Shauna. I'm doing it. I already got some of the ingredients. And I need to go get a press so I can just get the juice instead of the husk and everything else. You know, the missus says the same thing. Tell your missus I said you're both alcoholics and you're snitching on yourself. I know exactly what you're doing after this live. I just hope you don't drive on the way back. I'm kidding. Almost there, guys. 250K likes. We're right about there. You have your ingredient. Okay, bet. I'm finna consult with you in a second. The first step is admitting you have a problem. White mess. I have to say, I love your name. It's Jess. I see it now. But I remember the first time I scrolled across your live, and I said, White Mess Express is diabolical. I think I followed you just for that alone. I don't remember like knowing what you were about or anything, but I saw your name and I was like, that's a good name. Y'all ever done that before? When you saw someone's name who was so damn creative, you just decided to follow them? It was just fucking funny to me. White Mess Express is diabolical. It's kind of like, we talked about this yesterday, yesterday's live. Brett and Thick and everyone clowned me for it. I love the concept of non-practicing whites. That's the greatest fucking thing that's come out of the left, in my opinion. Non-practicing whites is crazy. Like, that's the easiest way to get me on your side. If I see your bio, you're a non-practicing white, and I'm like, that's good people. That's good people. But with that being said, don't try to practice black now. That's where some of you may get it fucked up. Don't try to practice black. Just don't practice white. Is that fair? I'm stupid. Guys, there's a reason why I debate people, okay? No one wants to sit here and listen to me ramble bullshit for hours. There's a reason why I have a back and forth with people. We save the talking lies for the good talking people like Facts. I can listen to Facts talk forever. I'm not one of those people, okay? Because I'm going to just get to bullshit. That's what I do. I wanted to ask this for a while. What do you like to do outside of TikTok? I'm not so much of an outdoorsy person as used to, or I am. I just been a little bit too busy. Fitness, which I need to be more consistent about. I do like to read. I'm a big anime fan of that. Not anime. DC nerd. I'm big on that. I like to cook. Right now I'm stuck on meal planning because going in the kitchen multiple times a week to experiment is fucking insane. I ain't got time for all that. Yeah, a couple of things I get up to. I mean, I'm not an exciting person by any means. Like, I don't have a long laundry list of like hobbies and things that I do. I'm very particular and very specific. But yeah, like literally when I'm done with this, I'm going to go out and Uber for a bit. And then when I get back, I have to work on a couple projects. There's a few videos I need to put out, and some research I need to do. There was a protest that took place in, why do I never remember the name? Give me a second. I'm going to pull this up because I never remember the name, but I watched a video on it. Protest in China that killed hundreds. Also, if you're not following me, make sure you hit that follow button. Aha! So, how many of you are familiar with, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, Tiananmen? Fuck it, let me ask Google how to pronounce this. Tiananmen. Hold on. How to pronounce Tiananmen. And let's see. Let's see if it plays for you guys.
Tiananmen.
Tiananmen. Did you guys hear that? I'm not sure if audio plays on the Safari side for you guys. Tell me if you guys heard that.
Tiananmen.
You heard it? Okay, good. Tiananmen. So there's a 1989 protest in Tiananmen Square, where the government, their own government, went out there using the military and killed people estimated to be in the hundreds. Peaceful protests. We saw viral photos go around. I didn't know about this until recently. Like men standing in front of tanks, they literally would run them over. Like people's bodies were cleaned up after this. And I saw a clip of Donald Trump in an interview. He was asked about it, and he complimented it. And it just shocked me. Not shock in the terms of Trump says certain things I'm not necessarily shocked about it. I'm more so shocked that we have evidence going back to the 70s of what a piece of shit Donald Trump is. And for some reason, somehow, some way, we still got to 2016 and we still got to 2024. The craziest thing about this political journey to me is me finding out that we somehow dropped the fucking ball despite at the point of 2016, 40 years of evidence that he was a despicable human being. Like the more further you go back, the more stuff you find out is just like why some of these things weren't even brought to attention by Democrats, in my honest opinion. Like certain things, I don't remember Democrats talking about Roy Cohn, really and truly. I don't really recall Democrats bringing that up on the debate stage and anything else. I don't know of a lot of Democrats who, well, yeah, we have some. Thank you for the follows. We have some talks about like the exonerated five. We had, the grab them by the ussies and all these different things. But I just don't think. I think we could have done a better job at really painting this pattern. To be clear, I'm not saying that we have to present more than we already did because let's be real, we presented enough and people just didn't fucking care. What's going on, Shelby? But I don't know. Almost at 250K, guys. Also, I didn't set that goal, so don't worry about it. And we already knocked out the gift goal for the league gallery for the week, so I appreciate every last one of you for that. But yeah, it's we have 3 more years, unfortunately, of this shit. I did have a question, though. What do we think is going to happen going forward in regards to the Epstein files? What is everyone's thoughts on that? Because I'm seeing a lot more just passing people with the viral photo of the entire page being like redacted. We've seen that. There's a couple of those, by the way. I've seen a lot of those photos put out and a lot more people are commenting on it. I'm curious to see how Republicans respond. I'm very curious to see how Republicans respond. File 468. Yeah. I reposted a video on my story. Amanda Informed put it out. And then I was watching a couple myself where it's just, I don't even see the point of reading some of them. And then there was one page. It was a 16-page document. I can't remember what it was. Actually, is that the name of it? File 468? William, help me out. File 468, is that the 16-page document where it was Sarah something and that reporter that she was sending emails to, where it actually did name Trump, and I can't fully say what the page said. I'm gonna try and word this around. It talked about Trump and a person, and then the person's dipples replaced the D with an N. The person's dipples were like always sore because this Trump was always fucking gross. Was that file 468? Trump with 6 girls. Oh. AC was live earlier going through the files and over 16 photos that were there yesterday. Yeah, I was there for that for a little bit. Yes. Okay, so we're talking about 2 different ones. But yeah, I remember that page, which they tried to dismiss because then they said that her emails were contradictory to the Virginia Guffrey deposition. They were trying to get the emails released alongside her deposition. It was a whole thing. No, that's new. Got you. Okay, got you. W250K. Fantastic. All right. We're going to find somebody to raid. We're going to find someone to raid. Like I said, guys, we're going to start doing this more. Hopefully the next time will be better. But yes, I really believe in creating a space for these people. Whether they like it or not. We're going to get somebody in the box, and then we're going to see if we can change some minds in that regard. The first guy was cool, though, but he was basically a leftist. He was basically a leftist, just saying that some communist fear-mongered him. And I really had to hold my tongue on what I think about. Actually, really quick, because I do have to go. I know a lot of communists. Well-respected, loved, educated, great communists, okay? So when I say this, I don't want you guys to take offense. I respect the idea behind communism. The problem that I have is when communists look at the world around us and they say, give me perfection or nothing. When they look at the world around us and say, give me the Garden of Eden or nothing. You get Nikita all you want to. Nikita has some damn sense, okay? Nikita has some damn sense. Those are the communists where I'm like, okay, I hear you. I see you. I got you. But I'm going to say this with my full chest. If you're a communist and you advocated for people not to vote in the 2024 election, you can go to hell. And I say that with my full fucking chest. You can go to hell. You're not helping anyone. You're a waste of space. With the things you're saying are a waste of space, not you as a person. And fuck you. Yeah, that's what I believe. That's what I believe. Because we just got this growing number of people who want to play this moral superiority as they're sitting in their homes and their internet spaces in book clubs reading up about Karl Marx, where people are actually dying and their vote can play a role in reducing that, if not outright stopping it. So, anyways, let's see who we can raid. Let's see who we can raid, because the last time I started talking shit about communists, I just remember a couple minutes later, we started seeing all the badges on the end of their names hopping up in the requests. I'm not fighting with y'all today, so I'm gonna leave y'all alone. Let's see who's live. Looks like Swan is live. Who else is live but Swan? We're gonna do a Swan raid. We're going to do a Swan raid. Looks like she just started. Perfect. She just started. We're going to give Swan some love. Give me a moment. I'm going to get my backup in here. And we're going to show her some love. So again, you guys know the drill. You guys know the drill. When I say we raid someone, I'm going to need y'all to actually raid this person. Okay? So I need to see at least, there's 184 people in here. At least 75 people go over to Swan and give her a raid. And I'm about to give you her username. Give me a second. Give me a second. And I know it's a bit of a difficult one. I don't think that helps with raids. It's fine. Here we go. We're going to go raid Swan. And this is her user. Just look for Daddy Swan and look for that picture. Don't bother with the entire username. Just look for Daddy Swan and look for that picture. We're going to go over to this live here. She just started. We're going to say Hector Raid. Hector Raid. And you're going to do it for one of 2 reasons. Y'all heard me say this enough. 1, let her know the love and support is coming from me. And 2, to stroke my ego. Hector Raid to Daddy Swan or Swan of Blackness. I will see y'all over there in a moment. If you don't, I'm blocking you. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the live. We're going to host this again at some point. Thank you to the people who came in from the Facts Still Matter live. Thank you, Facts. He's not here. I'll send him his personal thank you in a bit for doing this. And we're going to see more of him and myself and others, hopefully going forward, trying to talk to non-voters. But yes, Daddy Swan, Hector Raid. I will see y'all tomorrow for MAGA hunting, I think. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you, those of you on the Tube side. She's not streaming on Tube. She doesn't do all of that, but I appreciate every last one of you for coming in. If you're on the TikTok, go ahead and rate her over there. Other than that, find someone else to support. I appreciate everyone who came through today. Thank you, mods, for doing what you do. Make sure on the way out that you give the stream a like.